Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Good afternoon. The Supreme Court has ruled that the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to hold a second referendum on independence. Senior judges said Holyrood cannot go ahead with organising a vote without the permission of the UK government. Our Scotland correspondent James Shaw has more details.
What the judges said was that the Scottish Parliament has power to do certain things, to legislate in Scotland on certain issues, but not on matters that affect the union between England and Scotland or affect the UK Parliament at Westminster. And what these 5 judges unanimously decided was that a referendum on independence, even though it wouldn't have the legal power in and of itself to allow independence to happen, it would, by its result, whether it was in favour of independence or not, it would strengthen or weaken the union between Scotland and England. Therefore, it would have an effect on what is supposed to be a reserve power.
Well, Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has been giving her reaction to the ruling.
We must and we will find another democratic, lawful and constitutional means by which the Scottish people can express their will. In my view, that can only be an election. The next national election scheduled for Scotland is, of course, the UK general election, making that both the first and the most obvious opportunity to seek what I described back in June as a de facto referendum.
In other news, police say 6 people are being killed by a gunman at a supermarket in the US state of Virginia. It's believed the manager of a Walmart store in the city of Chesapeake fired at his co-workers and then shot himself. A teenage boy has been killed and 14 other people wounded in 2 suspected bombings at bus stops in Jerusalem. The militant group Hamas has praised the attacks but stopped short of claiming responsibility. And the 365-foot blast furnace at the former Teesside Steelworks has been demolished. Crowds gathered to watch the structure in Redcar come down with the explosion heard 20 miles away. It's the latest work to clear the site following the closure of the steelworks in 2015.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Listen live on digital, online, smart speaker or the BBC Sounds app.
Let's have a look at the latest weather now then, and it's been very wet through this morning with a band of heavy rain moving its way from west to east across the United Kingdom, but things improving now for many of us. We've got some sunny spells developing across many western areas at the moment, but further showers moving their way into Wales and southwest England. Some of those on the heavy side. Some of those showers will drift into northwest England, parts of the Midlands, central southern England as well. But on the whole, it's drier with dry spells and some sunshine. The last of the rain still just lingering on across the far east of England, but that'll clear in the next hour or so. But in the far north of Scotland, we'll see that rain continuing throughout this afternoon. Elsewhere across Scotland and Northern Ireland, looking at some sunny spells. Still fairly blustery conditions. Temperatures 7 to 10 degrees in Scotland and Northern Ireland, 8 to 13 degrees for England and Wales. And then through tomorrow, we're going to see another band of rain move its way in from the west. This one will be narrower, so it won't be wet for as long as it's been today, but that rain will spread from west to east once again with some sunny spells following behind. Simon King, 5 Live Weather.
The best live sport.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022.
Coverage of every game on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. On Friday, Group B continues with Wales versus Iran at 10.
Gareth Bale has delivered on the biggest stage of all.
And England versus USA at 7.
Wilson now into the area, plays it across, Grealish! What a start for England in Doha!
Take the World Cup with you.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022 with Mark Chapman.
God, we've got an awful lot to get through before we even think about Friday. Another 3 games today, 4 tomorrow, and then we'll turn our attentions to Wales, Iran and England, USA. The first game of today is finished Morocco 0, Croatia 0. We're going to see Spain and Belgium later. Germany are next up, taking on Japan, and we'll go to our commentary team shortly of Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis. Pablo Zabaleta, Premier League title winner, is with us as well in the studio. Afternoon, how are you?
How are you, Mark? All good?
Yeah, very well, thank you. We were watching the second half of Morocco-Croatia, and we were talking to a very similar theme that we were discussed with Stephen Warnock there about the narrowing of the gap between the continents, basically.
Absolutely. No easy games anymore. As you can see how African teams, and they have been really improving the last few years. They're so competitive. They have so many players playing the best league in the world, and been coaching by great managers as well. So it's been a great improvement. And as I say, you cannot really underestimate any single team, especially in the World Cup. And we have seen yesterday, I'm still recovering from that hard defeat of Argentina against Saudi Arabia, and nobody saw that coming. And it shows you that every team is competitive, and yeah. So it's been brilliant. I mean, what I have seen so far in this World Cup is every team playing really well.
We'll talk about Argentina.
No.
Later on, we'll have a brief chat about Argentina. One of the things we were talking about before the game kicked off between Morocco and Croatia was all the African sides managed by managers from that country. Yes. No outsiders coming in to manage them. We're about to do Japan, who are taking on Germany. Japan managed by a former Japanese international as well. That it feels very important, that because all of these coaches have had their own club careers, their own international careers, and they're now managing their own countries where they understand the culture more than any outsider could probably do.
And that is really important to understand the culture of the country, and that's true. I mean, as a South American, always we want to come to Europe to improve, because we all know that the best league in the world are in Europe, and you see so many players coming at the very young age to Europe. They know how to play. Tactically, all the African team are really strong, and the same for the managers. These days, with the new technology, you can see and learn many things, and they all came to Europe as well to learn, to understand how to play positional game or how to play direct, whatever style you want to play. I think every single coach these days are really well prepared, and then you can see on the field how the teams play really good tactically. They all know what they're doing on the ball, and we see how they break down on counter-attack. Every single player is quick and fast, and how they can combine around the box. So it's so much quality this day from every team, good coaches, and of course it makes football so much competitive.
Pablo Zabaleta with us until 1 o'clock this afternoon on 5 Live. Let's focus on Germany against Japan before we go to our commentary team. Let's remind you of what happened back in 2018 when Germany went out against South Korea.
Oh, Neuer's playing left back. He's not even in goal, and Son Heung-min has got Zula under pressure.
What is he doing?
What on earth is going on? 5 minutes played of 6 of added time, but there's going to be more. Kroos goes long, flicked on into the box. Muller is chasing, so is Royce. Cho is out, the goalkeeper.
What is Neuer doing? He's playing left wing.
Throw-in. Oh, here is Neuer. He's on the ball on the left wing. He's tackled. Neuer's out of position. The ball is thumped long for Son.
No!
Son chases it. Can he keep this in play? He's going to score. Son, surely. It's all over. South Korea with an incredible win over Germany in Kazan. And that is that for the defending champions.
Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton doing that commentary, and the disrespectful Sutton is alongside Ian Dennis, who has the team news at the Khalifa Stadium.
Yes, he's not laughing at the moment, Mark, but Pablo's point there about players going to Europe now is certainly reflected in this Japanese squad, bearing in mind that 8 of their 26 actually play their football in Germany. There is no Tomiyasu, though, the Arsenal defender. He was rested in the warm-up game against Canada last week. He's had an issue with his calf, and he's not starting. He's on the bench, along with Mitoma of Brighton and Hove Albion, who we were told had recovered from illness, but hasn't made the starting lineup. So Gonda will be in goal for Japan. Sakai, Yoshida, formerly of Southampton, and Itakura, the 2 central defenders, with Nagatomo at left-back, the first Japanese player to appear in 4 World Cup finals. Kamada, Endo, Tanaka in the midfield, with Kubo we expect to the left and Ito to the right, with Celtic's Maida through the middle. As for Germany, well, Sane has been ruled out with a knee injury, but Rudiger recovered from a hip problem and Thomas Müller has recovered from a groin issue, and they're more or less as you'd expect, with Neuer in goal, Süle as the right back, Rudiger and Schlotterbeck as the two central defenders, Raum at left back, Kimmich and Gundogan in the centre of midfield, with Gnabry, Müller and Musiala behind Kai Havertz.
Chris, Ian mentions 8 of the 26 play in Germany, 19 of the 26 play in Europe. So following on from Pablo's point, I mean, that is huge for them in a game that in a group rather that contains both Germany and Spain.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking to a couple of people who know German football very well, Kamada has been excellent in the Bundesliga this season. Has been the most dynamic player with Musiala, of course, who's playing for the German team this afternoon. But there's been a lot of Japanese players playing in Germany for a lot of years now, and I remember covering the World Cup in 2018, and it was very similar. And they are a team of really good technicians, and I know Celtic pretty well. Kyogo Furuhashi and Ryo Hatate have been left out of this Japanese squad, and they are both two really excellent players. I suppose the one surprise in the not the one surprise in the lineup, but if you asked any Celtic fan, they would say Daisen Maida over Kyogo Furuhashi, never in a million years. And Maida starts up top today as a central striker. He hasn't played as a central striker much for Celtic this season. He's played off the wide area, so he's very, very versatile. He's not one who's very good with his back to goal. So I suspect that Japan will try and play the way out from the back, half turn, and he'll make those runs in behind. He does have decent pace, and I think that's where they'll look to hurt the Germans this afternoon.
But international roles could have very different instructions for club roles, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen a lot of Daisen Maida, and I've seen a lot of Kyogo Furuhashi, and I've got to say, I'm scratching my head as why Kyogo Furuhashi isn't picked. He's a more refined player, a better technician than Maida. He's a better goal scorer than Maida, but I think if you asked a lot of the Celtic fans, they would say the same thing. But Maida gets his opportunity. Maida's an athlete. Maida's a runner. Maida is a one-man sort of closing down machine, or he has been at Celtic. Works exceptionally hard, but he's not a great finisher. In the Champions League this season, he missed a number of opportunities for Celtic. So I think that's maybe the weak area of the Japanese team. But in the centre of midfield, they're all really good footballers.
Let's talk Germany. We'll come back to Japan a little bit later on. Archie Rintut is with us for this hour as well. As I ask a lot of people at the start of the tournament when discussing their respective countries, where are Germany at going into this?
There's a lot of uncertainty around this team, Mark, though that doesn't really make for much change when you look at previous World Cups that Germany have gone into, even the successful ones. When we look at 2014 when they won it, there were big injury question marks over the likes of Philipp Lahm and Sami Khedira. Marco Reus, who was in such good form at the time, was ruled out through injury. Even 2010, Michael Ballack being injured by Kevin Prince Boateng in the FA Cup final, it was back then, was the biggest headline. And would these new batch of German players who impressed in the 2009 under-21 Euros, the likes of Thomas Müller, Mesut Özil, would they be good enough to come through? I think they've answered that quite significantly in their careers. But the question is now, is this batch of players who don't have that same experience at international level and have a real point to prove, are they ready as a team? And that is the big question. There is a lot of uncertainty here in Germany, and I would say that there is very much a lukewarm mood about being ready for the World Cup in terms of watching it. You look at the viewing numbers that you've had over here, and we're talking about millions of people who are not watching the World Cup on a whole, which is massive for Germany. The whole boycott Qatar movement has been very present in the Bundesliga over the last few weeks as well. And yeah, we're seeing nearly a third of people not watching, comparison, for example, the opening game. So yeah, I'd say the amount of passion for this team right now, not big.
So is that apathy because of where we are, or is that apathy because of the timing of this World Cup and there are other things going on, and or is it both?
I think much less apathy for the timing of it, and much more apathy because of the numerous human rights issues around it. There have been very strong criticisms of the One Love armband and the way that was dealt with by the Germany team, and how they have not stood up. And Lothar Matthäus has even said today that he thinks Manuel Neuer will still wear the armband. I don't think Lothar Matthäus is right on that. I can't see that happening. But yeah, that's been as dominant an issue here about the non-sporting side and how that has played out.
When you say you've seen protests in the Bundesliga in recent weeks about this, how have they manifested themselves?
So they've been, as is traditional, on the stands here, in the stands by the ultras, holding up boycott Qatar banners. You've seen that across not just the Bundesliga, but also the second division, third division. But also what's interesting is the bars as well here. I remember months ago seeing a boycott Qatar sticker on a bar, and even just riding through the city of Cologne, where I am now, there is very little World Cup fever, which is very strange because usually you've got TVs outside bars. Sure, I think the timing of the World Cup has an effect there, but yeah, you've seen just very little wanting for this World Cup, which is strange for a football nation such as Germany, and it tells you, I think, how powerfully people feel about the human issues which go along with this World Cup.
Do you think that changes if they get 9 points out of 9 in their group?
Honestly, no.
Do you not?
No. I think no. I think that people here do care a lot more about what they stand for. You see that if we generalize a little bit, you see that in the Bundesliga with the way that the fans do own the clubs and what the impact that has. And even if you look at the success of some of these more plastic clubs, shall we say, in the Bundesliga, such as Hoffenheim in recent years, albeit less so since Julian Nagelsmann left for Bayern, it's not like Hoffenheim fill their stadium. Bayer Leverkusen as well is not a team where they pack out the fans, and these teams have more success. It matters more in Germany what you stand for, and I think that what we've seen in terms of the drop-off of the TV viewers, for example, and how lots of people I know are not watching the World Cup as well, I think that it's about saying enough is enough.
As far as on the field is concerned, Pablo, when you look at this German side and they go with Kai Havertz up top, which is not necessarily something that works domestically at Chelsea, because he isn't a centre forward, is he?
Yeah. Well, he's not, but I think having players Musiala and Avri, which, you know, they have pace, they have energy, and Müller as well to support him in attack. He might help. Sometimes you cannot perform at your best on, having the best form for your club, but then in the national team it might change because you have the confidence from the manager, the belief of the manager that you are the right player to play in that position in the starting 11, and it might change for the players. So good. I don't know. Good to see him as a striker, and hopefully he can do well for Germany.
How do you view that, Chris?
Well, Havertz playing as a central striker.
Yeah.
Well, by all accounts, he'll be. I mean, they're very fluid, aren't they, the German team? And that front five, they'll be like a revolving door, if you like. So I think there'll be a lot of rotation. Müller is extremely flexible as well. So that's the way Hansi Flick set his team up at Bayern Munich, and is trying to take that transition into the German national team. So I don't think I think we'll see him play as a central striker at times, but they'll all move around those front five for Germany.
Is this the tournament where Jamal Musiala announced himself on the biggest stage, Archie, I'm well aware that, you know, he's already delivering in Champions League games for Bayern.
Oh, and how? He is my favourite player to watch in the Bundesliga right now, Mark. Just the way that he dribbles past players for fun in one-on-one situations, when there are players all around him and you think there's no chance that he's getting through here. He's exactly the kind of players that make football fun. And yeah, I think that the next step for him, because he's been doing it in the Bundesliga so far this season, he's been the best player in the league. I think that the next step for him is to do it in a side which is not as well oiled as Bayern, and playing in a tournament where the competition is much more of a level playing field than the Bundesliga. And I think this is a real chance for him to announce his arrival on a big stage and to see if he can drag this team where it's not really worked out for Germany going forwards recently. This is a real chance for him to, I'd say, solidify his reputation. There's been talk in the German press that he is just unsellable at Bayern, to the point that even 400 million euros would not be enough for Jamal Musiala. This is the way he's being talked about. He is very much the future of this club, and yeah, there are so many things to his game that make him so good. Even when, you know, opponents try and cut him down, like we've seen with Lionel Messi over the years, he bounces up like flubber. Like he doesn't quit. So yeah, he's really quite something.
Your reaction, Pablo, would suggest that you think $400 million might be accepted. I mean, I know they have ridiculous release clauses in La Liga for some players, don't they? But
the thing is, transfer fees and salaries these days are ridiculous. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised in 5 years' time someone would pay $400 million for a player. But I mean, I agree. I think Musiala is a great player. I mean, he's one of those players that you really enjoy watching playing. He's absolutely brilliant. He has a great potential, and I'm happy to see that Fleck is giving him a chance to play in the national team instead of the starting 11.
The point that Archie made about at Bayern, he's in a well-oiled machine. They all know what they're doing, and they tend to dominate most Bundesliga matches. But then going to a national team that is maybe in a certain state of flux and more competitive games at international level than maybe what is experienced at Bayern. You may have seen that with some teammates during your Manchester City time.
Of course, and I think it's completely different when you're playing for your club and then you go and you're playing for the national team, because you might have 2 or 3 players who are playing maybe in the same team, but then you're also playing with different players, and they need to understand each other, what they're doing. They need to understand the role of them in the national team, and I think of course it's different, but the good thing about him is just he's one of those players that is so good on the ball. He can dribble a pass player, he can produce moment of magic in the final third, and sometimes for that you also need players around you who can combine, and Navri is one of them. They've been playing at Bayern for a couple of years now together, and they can produce those moments in the game.
Pablo Zabaleta with us this afternoon on 5 Live. Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis in the stadium for Germany against Japan. This the first tournament under Hansi Flick for Germany. Joshua Kimmich recently spoke to Guillaume Balaguer and discussed playing under Flick at Bayern.
Amazing coach, an amazing person. He always knows what a team needs, also what a staff needs. A lot of respect for everybody, not just for the players, also for the staff behind. And I think he has a great quality to always bring the best team on the pitch. So it's not always to bring the best players on the pitch. It is about to bring the best team on the pitch, and fantastic in this way. We played a great style of football with this high pressing to force the opponent to do mistakes. It was really an amazing time with him.
You're surrounded by a lot of quality. That obviously makes you better. At Bayern Munich is the base of the national side. Do you think that will be obviously a help to Germany to have all of your teammates around you?
Yeah, I hope so. For me, I think it's really important that we are in a flow now, that we perform well as Bayern Munich, because we have a lot of Bayern Munich players in our squad in the national team, and this has to be the base for the national team. We have to keep this confidence, this power to also help our team in the World Cup to perform well.
It's going to be your second World Cup.
Don't speak about the first.
All right.
Now we can speak about it.
Oh, okay. Because there was a question here about the first, but you learn from those things, and you must have heard, and you take that with you to Qatar, I imagine.
Yeah, of course I remember the first one. At first I remember that it was a big experience, a big dream, which came true in this time. I remember exactly the game against Mexico, my first World Cup game. Of course we lost, but it was great to play a World Cup match for your country, for the people at home. Of course we want to do it better now. Yeah, we learned a lot about it. That is not just important to have big players, to have great players, to have players who had a lot of success in the past, who reached a lot of trophies. It's about to have a good team, a really good character, a good team spirit. So it's not the most important thing to have the best players in a tournament, but you have to be the best team, and you don't need the best players to have the best team.
Are you aware that in a tournament like this, you go one way, but you can come out in a completely different way? A very, very, very good way, or sometimes not so good way, that it can change your career and your life?
Yeah, I don't know if tournament is able to change my life. Maybe if you win it, it would change your life a bit.
If you win it, you score the winning goal.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I don't think about it that it could change my life or my career. Maybe more when you're a kid, you think about it, or what would it be to score in the last minute or in the last second to win the World Cup. But now we are far away from a final. Like I said before, we have to focus now on the first game, because at the moment now is the most important game, and if we win this game, I think we have more self-confidence, and we can think about the next game then.
Joshua Kimmich talking to Guillaume Balaguer. The full interview is on BBC Sounds. He's not the first full-back to be switched to a central midfield role, but actually as a central midfield. I mean, Philipp Lahm did it, didn't he, for many years? Pablo, when someone transitions like that, are you impressed?
No, because I think with the quality that Kimmich has, he can do everything he wants. And how important it was for him to be coached by Pep as well at that time, at the period of where Kimmich was a young lad, where he was learning, he was playing his first games for Bayern Munich. And of course, we all know that Pep always been using the full-backs coming into those position inside, or especially for the build-up, and because he's such a good player with the ball on the feet, then he should stay there in that position, and Flick and even Nagelsmann in Bayern Munich, they just keep him in that position. But at a certain point, if they need a right back, he can also play there, and such a great player. He's absolutely a brilliant person as well. You can see in the way he talks, in the way he performs, and we'll see if he can do it well this time at the World Cup in Qatar.
When you're being coached by Guardiola in that situation, and he wants to move you from full-back into midfield, or he wants you to perform roles that are more than a full-back, is the coaching side of it, is it more positionally? Is it more where you look rather than technically? Because you're technically, obviously, you are all incredibly gifted footballers. So is it?
I was not technically gifted as Lahm.
Well, you were.
Or Kimmich.
Well, Well, you were more technically gifted than Micah, you took his place, so he won't be listening. I can say that. No, but is it a positional coach?
No, I think it's a positional coach, and especially because Pep always, as we all know, he tried to play out from the back every single time, and he wants the fullback to come into those positions because then he wants both wingers to stay wide and to occupy those areas. So you can have an extra man in midfield, and it's good always for the build-up to be in those positions inside. You can be at some point 5v3 depending on the opposition, how they pressed up front, and then as soon as you get on the ball, you go the option to play as a midfield who is in between lines. It could be like, I don't know, I'm saying De Bruyne, for example, at Man City, or you have Mahrez wide, and you can pass the ball into those players, and if they lose the ball, you are in the right position to avoid those counterattacks. And this, when Pep always say that to me, and I understood it, he was right, because as we mentioned before, technically the attacking midfielder or the winger will be a lot better than the fullback. Sometimes you can do those overlapping runs, which is something that at some point you need in the game, and it's good to do that. But if you come into those central positions and you there to create superiority, and then to pass the ball into those players and give them the chance to go one-on-one and to make some runs in behind, and then you are in a so much better position to stop the winger, and rather than being high up the pitch and then run 50 yards back.
It's the explanation of why you're doing it that's as important, isn't it? So that you buy into it.
And for me, it was really important at that time because I was 33. My legs gone a little bit. I couldn't run as before, and I always say, Pep, you should have come to City 4 years ago, 5 years ago, not now. And but yeah, that was something I have learned from Pep, which is I saw. By the way, I saw the Pep staying another 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
I'm very pleased for that. That's incredible. And but yeah, he's and everyone is doing exactly the same thing now this day. Football change, and as life goes on and as society change, football does exactly the same thing.
It shows how connected Guardiola is with the club and the city of Manchester that he's staying for another 2 years, because he's going way beyond the amount of time he's spent in other places when he's either felt like he's needed a rest or a challenge.
And that is the big difference between both clubs in Manchester. People want to stay at Man City.
Well, there was no need to go down that route, Pablo. It was a simple, nice question.
No, but listen, I'm very pleased to see that Pep is staying, and this is because he's surrounded by the right people. I mean, the chairman Khaldun, love him. They have a great relationship. Then Ferran Soriano, Chiki Begiristain. And the organization of the club, the football structure of the club has been right for so many years. Pep and the players of Manchester City, they won't find a better place than Man City already, because look at the facilities. The money is there to buy the best player, to give Pep a strong squad, and the Premier League, best league in the world. It's not better place than Man City at the moment for the coaches and the players.
Pablo Zabaleta with us on 5 Live this afternoon. Archie, just before I go to the news, there are reports around, I'm seeing, that Germany are going to take FIFA to the Court of Arbitration in Sport over the One Love armband to try and get it overturned, maybe in time for Manuel Neuer to wear it against Spain on Sunday, I think that game is.
Yeah, that has also been the case. I think, particularly for the German FA, they have come under a lot of criticism for the way that they just seem to have these PR gags for what they stand for, and I think this is a very important battle for them to fight. I'm not surprised that they're taking it to CAS. How much of a chance they have? Good question. But yeah, that much is, I'd say, unsurprising here. I just want to add something very quickly to what Pablo was saying there about Kimmich's position. He's come under a lot of criticism actually in Germany from some legends of the game about how he thinks too offensively and he needs to think a bit more defensively, such as Philipp Lahm. Sami Khedira said he needs to be a bit smarter and want a bit less. Marcus Babbel said he shouldn't be bouncing around everywhere. Only he's bouncing around everywhere, only not where he's supposed to be playing. So this is actually one of the key issues of this German team. It is, how will they structure themselves when they have to face the counter?
RG, for the moment, thank you. Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton are in the stadium. We're 25 minutes away from Germany against Japan, our second match of the day. The first one finished Croatia 0, Morocco 0. Here's the latest BBC News.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
With the 5 Live News, I'm Nick Hatfield. The Supreme Court says the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to hold another independence referendum without permission from the UK government. Rishi Sunak has welcomed what he called a clear and definitive ruling. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon says she respects the ruling, but they will now treat the next general election at Westminster as a de facto referendum. Police in the US state of Virginia say 6 people are being killed by a gunman at a supermarket. The suspect, who's believed to be the store manager, is thought to have killed himself. Emergency services in Ukraine say a newborn baby is being killed in a Russian missile strike on a maternity unit in Zaporizhia. The baby's mother, who was the only woman there, and a doctor were rescued from the rubble. And 7 months of talks between Royal Mail and the Communication Workers Union appear to have come to an end. In a statement, the company says it's put forward its best and final offer. 10 more strike days are planned by the union before Christmas.
We'll get into the rights and the wrongs and the who's and the whatnots later on in the Checker Flag podcast. We'll bring you all the reaction as well to what has been a very entertaining Grand Prix.
Get analysis and reaction from the expert 5 Live Formula One team with the Checkered Flag podcast.
It's been an incredible season for the whole team, for myself, something of course I will never forget. To have these kind of seasons, I don't think it will come along very often, but I'm definitely enjoying the moment.
Listen on BBC Sounds. BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022 with Mark Chapman.
23 minutes away from Germany against Japan. Just some sad news from the football world to bring you, and that's former Liverpool and England striker David Johnson has died at the age of 71. He won 4 league titles and 3 European Cups with the club. Scored 6 goals in 8 appearances for his country. The Anfield Wrap have probably summed it up best in their tweet from around an hour ago. Rest in peace, Doc. Scouser, goal scorer, legend David Johnson, dying at the age of 71. We're at the World Cup. We're here in Doha. Pablo Zabaleta is with us. We're going to have to talk about it, all right? I know you tried to slip it away at the start and think we'd forget about it. The reaction in Argentina, just a couple of, I think, newspapers here. La Nación, the Argentine national team remained wrapped up in a sandstorm and the horizon clouded over. And Clarín said the national team and the reasons for the spectacle, well, they played poorly and had bad luck, but they also underestimated the game. Do you think they underestimated?
Well, I think it looks like when Messi scored that penalty after 10 minutes, and there were a couple of more chances that goals disallowed. I think after the 45 minutes, everyone thought that the game was over. That the game was the second half was gonna be easy, exactly the same as the first half. And I don't want to believe that Argentina went into that game and they really underestimate Saudi Arabia. Probably maybe the fans and all the expectation before the game, because of that 36 game of Argentina, we unbeaten, and the dynamic of the team and all that. But I think, and I said yesterday, I give credit to that Saudi Arabia team.
Yeah.
because of that second half performance, been brilliant. I think they believe more than anyone else, and they thought, we are 1-0 down. Let's go into that second half and enjoy the game. We have nothing to lose, and they were brave because the high line, they were aggressive. It's not, when you have Messi, Di Maria, De Paul, Paredes, Lautaro Martinez, it's not easy to go and play like that. You want to sit back and don't give them much space, but they were so brave, and that was great to see from them. And then a couple of good chances, clinical finished, and they won the game deservedly. I mean, there were no reaction of Argentina after that second goal of Saudi Arabia. I got some concern about how some of the players from Argentina not feeling 100% physically well. Some of them been having some injuries before the World Cup, and I think Scaloni, the manager, have to see or analyze what went wrong in that game. But if some of the players still okay, or they might make 3 or 4 changes for the next game.
There was that feeling, wasn't there, as you say, when they went 1-0 up, of kind of job done. I mean, they had several chances after that, several times they were offside, and there was that feeling of, oh, it'll be all right, another one will come along, along. And actually in the second half, virtually nothing came along because of how Saudi Arabia defended.
Yeah, absolutely. And defensively, they've been well organised. They were aggressive. The goalkeeper also made a fantastic performance. And that's all you need as a team when you face Argentina with good individual players. The team been performing well for the last 3 years. And everyone was saying, before the World Cup, who is your favorite? And Argentina was the top 3, and everyone was saying that because of a moment, because Messi was in a good form for the country and for the club. But if something we have learned yesterday is that the World Cup is a different scenario. Every team will compete 100%. Anything in football can happen, and yeah, it was a big shock. One of the biggest upset in this World Cup.
Final question, 2 parts, and then I'll move on to Japan. So, is the fact that it's presumed to be Messi's last World Cup going to dominate things for Argentina? And the second part of that is, how will he have reacted? You know him. How will he have reacted today to what happened yesterday?
Well, he's a true leader. I mean, Messi is more mature these days, and we have seen so many video and clips of Messi in the last Copa America that pretty much speech, and I know he will do exactly the same thing today. After the training sessions, really the players will meet each other. They will talk about the game, and I think that result of Mexico and Poland was good for the national team, and they have to react. We expect a good reaction from Argentina in that second game against Mexico next Saturday. They have to win it. It still depends on them, but I'm sure they will make a self-criticize on what went wrong in the game, and hopefully it was a bad day at the office and they can put in a better performance against Mexico.
That's it. That's the exact thing, actually. Beat Mexico and beat Poland. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but then you're on 6. Mexico and Poland could then only get to 4 points. So immediately you've turned it round.
Absolutely, and that is football. You have to. It's not how it started; it's how it finished. And as I say, in football, so many up and down moments, and it's how you react and how you wake up next day, and how if you're focused on the next game. I'm sure that the players been in that situation before. It was not the first time. If we look at some of the World Cup before, Argentina lost against Cameroon in 1990 in Italy, the first game, and they still reached the final. Spain lost to Switzerland in 2010 and then won the World Cup. So it is only one game, of course, a big disappointment and all that, but I want to still positive, optimistic about that team, those players. I know that they will react to that defeat, and hopefully they can play better next game.
Should we move on to Japan?
Yes.
By the way, just ahead of this game, we were talking to Archie about the One Love armband and what's been going on, and Germany taking FIFA to CAS to try and get that, see what the legal issues are about whether they could wear the armband, certainly for the Spain game on Sunday for Manuel Neuer. Hansi Flick has been asked in his pre-match TV interview if the team has considered an alternative statement for this game. And according to Archie, who sent us this message, Hansi Flick said, "Let's see if something is planned," and then in Archie's words, stayed silent, shrugged, and then smiled. And that's what he's done to German TV, has Hansi Flick. As far as their opponents are concerned, Japan, they're in their 7th straight World Cup, but Spain also in this group, as well as the Germans. Their captain is Maya Yoshida, and he says they'll need as much support as they can get if they're to cause an upset.
It's very tough, honestly. We knew that since it's a draw happened. The key is we have to defend well, and probably less opportunities attacking, but we need to make a good counter-attack, of course. And of course, we have watched the game from Iran and Qatar. So it's tough start from Asian countries. I wish the many fans, the supporters coming from Asia, because Qatar has so many people from the other countries, especially from Asia, like India, Philippines. So we are representing Japan, of course, but at the same time representing Asia. So hopefully many fans come in the stadium, not only Japanese, but also the many Asian fans, then they're going to support us, because Germany is so strong. So we need some support.
Maya Yoshida there. Dan Orlowitz is a Tokyo-based football journalist and joins us now. Afternoon, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. 20 years since Japan hosted the World Cup. 30 years next year of the J-League. It feels like the national team has come a long way in that period of time.
It absolutely has, when you consider that nearly 30 years ago, Japan was mourning the agony of Doha when they missed out on qualifying for the U.S. tournament in '94. Fast forward to today, 7 straight World Cups. You have 19 of 26 players in the squad who are based in Europe. The league is thriving. Academies are producing players who can compete at a global level. And it's a very exciting time to be a Japan supporter.
How are they their academies producing, as you say, those elite players at a global level? Is that down to funding and facilities? Is it down to coaching? Is it both?
I think that in Japan, the clubs understand how players work at the youth level, and they're really great at taking these young players and molding them. You also have the advantage of very strong scholastic leagues. The high schools are producing tons of pro players. Colleges and universities are producing great players. I believe 9 in this Japan squad who graduated from university, which is a record for Japan. So there's a lot that's working. You sort of have the best of European-style academies and also the best of US-style scholastic tracks, and they're combining to just produce a constant stream of these players.
Actually, that was going to be my next question when you gave that answer, was that sounds like they've got a system very much based on the US college system for the US sports.
You know, it's interesting. A friend mentioned this earlier today, that I think the U.S., Canada, Japan, and I believe South Korea, what they have in common is, 1, a lot of players with collegiate experience, and 2, they all call the sport soccer. So that's just something to think about. It is a very different culture from what Europe is used to, where it's almost entirely academy-based, but it does produce a very diverse set of players.
And with the balance of this national squad, as we're saying, 19 of this 26 are playing in Europe. Is the philosophy in Japan to develop these players, educate these players, get them to the highest level so they can go and play in Europe, knowing that there are players behind them coming through to keep the domestic league strong?
Well, I think that's something that the J-League is grappling with, that 10 years ago, you had players who were, say, 25, 26. When they had a few good seasons behind them, then they would go to Europe. Now you have players who are 23, 22, 21, even in their late teens and 20 years old. They're going to Europe at that age because I think European clubs recognize that these aren't flash in the pan talents. Japan is developing this constant stream of players, and they are reliable and trustworthy. So the question is, well, how do you continue to develop that talent? And that's a problem when it comes to transfer fees and sell-on fees and just finding ways to keep that going and keep funding those academies. And that's something that the league is going to have to deal with in the coming years.
Dan, thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk again. Dan Orlowitz, Tokyo-based football journalist. On the one hand, Pablo, they're really unlucky to be in this group with Germany and Spain. But on the other hand, Germany and Spain will be really concerned about this match.
They have to be worried about Japan, and you know what? Because the Japanese people are they have that discipline, but it's part of their culture. It's just. And it's
well, you could hear then the scholastic part of their education as a footballer.
Absolutely, and then it's exactly like that in football as well, and that's why so many Japanese players came to Germany, and for me is the perfect league for them to continue to develop, because in Germany they give chances to the young players, and that's why so many Japanese are playing in the German league, and because they have that discipline, the right mentality to work hard, to run and all that, and that's why you can trust them, and they very dangerous as a team, and the experience of Yoshida, Nagatomo, and that mix of talent and experience will make Japan a very strong team this World Cup.
Pablo, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure.
It's been lovely having you. Pablo Zabaleta with us on 5 Live. The two flags of the two teams have been unfurled in the Khalifa Stadium. It means the teams are on their way out of the tunnel very shortly. And let's join the most scholarly team of commentator and pundit that we could put together for this game, Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Mark. You know, earlier on when you said it was feast or famine in terms of the fact that we've had, 3 goalless draws, sometimes as well I sense that it's feast or famine in terms of the atmospheres as well, because I was very fortunate the other night to experience a very good atmosphere between the United States and Wales. Chris, without wanting to put words into your mouth, maybe less so for you last night?
Both my games
would have been quite dull in terms of the atmosphere.
Yeah, especially last night. It was okay before kick-off, but on kick-off it was absolutely silent in the stadium for a few minutes, but feels different, doesn't it, this afternoon?
Certainly here in the Khalifa International Stadium, that now has a revised capacity with FIFA, because some of the capacities, like the amount of added on time, have been here, there and everywhere, but it's just under 46,000. There is a lot of the samurai blue, so there's a real bulk of Japanese support over on the far side, and we are a long way away here in the Khalifa International Stadium, where there are 2 pockets of German supporters as I look away towards our left-hand side, where the German flags are flying. Probably no more than, 500 supporters on one side and then 500 on the other, as the 2 teams come out down below here. Manuel Neuer leading out Germany, and as Mark was saying, there's then that talk of, with support of the Danish FA, that the German FA are looking at possible legal action against FIFA, but there doesn't appear to be an extra armband us there. Certainly, I think it was 7 associations, including England and Wales, who'd had talks about the unfair consequences on the players. You would think if one country was maybe thinking of defying FIFA, it might have been Neuer, with him being the goalkeeper, but that is not the case as it stands, and whether it changes for Sunday's gaming. Stadium. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also live on BBC Sounds, as is every game throughout this World Cup tournament. And these are the two teams for this opening game in Group E. Neuer is in goal for Germany. It'll be a back four of Süle, Rudiger, Schlotterbeck and Raum, Kimmich and Gundogan in the midfield, with Gnabry, Müller and Musiala behind Havertz. For Japan, and in fact 13 of the 22 starting players here actually play their football in Germany. 8 for the Die Mannschaft, 5 for Japan. Gonda is in goal, Sakai, Yoshida, Itakura and Nagatomo is the defence. Endo, Kamada, Tanaka, the midfield with Kubo to the left, Ito, Junior Ito that is, to the right, and Celtic's Dyson Maeda up front. But Tanaka, Kamada, Endo, Itakura and Yoshida, the former Southampton players, are the 5 who ply their trade in Germany. And certainly Daichi Kamada, who I saw last season in the Europa League final for Eintracht Frankfurt, is somebody who the Germans might just have to keep an eye on, Chris Sutton.
Yeah, and he's a player that the German players will know very, very well, to be very familiar with. He's had an outstanding start to his season in the Bundesliga, but they've got a lot of good technicians, this Japanese team, and I think the Germans are in for a real game. They got knocked out in 2018 in the group stage, finish bottom of the group, but they can have a big test this afternoon.
Germany in their white shirts with the broad black stripe going down the middle, and their black shorts, whereas for Japan they're in the samurai blue and their white shorts. And our referee is from El Salvador, Ivan Barton, who is being supported with Mauro Vigliano, who is the Argentinian VAR. And in the Japanese support, where there is a huge banner supporting the name of Gonda, the goalkeeper, there is a drummer who is creating a real din away towards our right-hand side. And in fact, Suichi Gonda recognises that little fan club of his. He puts his hands together and he bows with an acknowledgement of appreciation.
Yeah, and what do the other banners say?
That Chris Sutton can be annoying at times.
You can't read Japanese?
I've just read it. So Chris Sutton is with us here for what is the second of our 4 commentaries. We've got Spain and Costa Rica, the other game in Group E to come. 4 o'clock to be followed tonight with Belgium against Canada in Group F. But Germany, who were humiliated in Russia 4 years ago, look for redemption. 4 times winners of this tournament. They are playing from left to right against Japan, who will certainly make for a difficult group. There will be no easy ride for Japan, or indeed Spain, in Group E. Rudiger at the heart of that German defence, recovering from a hip problem. Müller shaking off a groin injury, but there's no Sane, who's been ruled out with a knee injury, as it's a very slow start from Germany back towards Neuer, all in yellow, away towards our left-hand side. And I mentioned that drum. That might well be a backdrop to our commentary throughout, as their arms are waving in that small block of blue away towards our right-hand side. Schlotterbeck lifts it forward for Germany. Müller up against Yuto Nagatomo, the left back with his dyed red hair, and that bouncing ball will have to be headed away by Neuer outside of his goal. But for Nagatomo, certainly a proud moment. He's now 36 years of age, but he's the first Japanese player to appear in 4 World Cup finals, and ever present in the previous 3. As here is Gnabry to the edge of the area, cleared away by the Japanese defence. He just picked up that ball, quite a central area. Are you expecting that front four of Germany to rotate a little bit, Chris?
Yeah, they'll be very fluid, and they've started off with Havertz as the central striker.
Oh, that wasn't dealt with at all. Across from the left-hand side, Müller with his back to goal, played it a long way back to Rudiger. Now to the burly figure of Süle, the right back. Gnabry on the inside and cleared away and swept to safety from, I think it was Yoshida who got his foot through that. 34 years of age, the captain. Nearly 200 appearances in 8 seasons at Southampton. Had a time at Sampdoria, but now one of the players playing in Germany for Schalke. As Germany seeing a lot of the ball with Schlotterbeck now, and then Kimmich playing in the midfield comes over and takes over.
Yeah, the Germans have set up as a 4-2-3-1. Kimmich and Gundogan in those deeper lying roles. We'll see Raum on that left-hand side, the left back. Better going forward, I think it's fair to say, than defensively, but up top, Havertz is the central striker. Müller just in behind him with Musiala off that left-hand side and Gnabry off the right-hand side.
Well, Chris, you were in Kazan, weren't you, when South Korea pulled off that upset to knock Germany out of the group stages last season? Oh, sorry, the last World Cup by 2-0. And indeed, you watched Japan give Belgium a real scare as well. Was it in the last 16?
Yeah, last they were 2 up, weren't they?
As Maeda tries to get round the back of Rudiger. That was a good old foot chase there for the Celtic forward against the former Chelsea defender Rudiger.
Yeah, that's his strength, Dazen Maeda. His pace, he'll make those runs in behind. His hold-up play isn't the cleanest, but Japan have got some players, some really talented players in the middle of the park who will look to get on the half turn and slide balls into Dazen Maeda, who will make those runs.
There was the customary team photo ahead of the game, and while Germany posed for their team photo, they put their hands over their mouths as across from the right-hand side from Junya Ito gets a corner kick. But every single one of the German players put their hands over their mouths for the team photo, and we say that the German FA, we're being supported by Denmark, are looking at possible legal action. Certainly earlier in the week, Germany, the federation, said that all of the associations, in the words of the German FA, came under extreme blackmail to drop the One Love armband. So that's going to rumble on. Corner kick to Japan, far side the right, outswinger, headed away by Gnabry, and out of play it goes for a throw. 5 minutes in, BBC Radio 5 Live. BBC Sounds as well, not just for the live commentary, but also for the World Cup Daily Podcast. And indeed, Match of the Day's Top 10. Episode 10 is actually out now, but Episode 5, if you wish to rewind, that's going to cause great debates in light of Saudi Arabia's victory against Argentina yesterday, because Gary Lineker and co were discussing the biggest World Cup upsets: Cameroon, Argentina, Senegal, France, the United States against England in 1950.
That would be mine. I wasn't born then, but
neither was I. I think Mark Chapman was the age of 2 then. But certainly Argentina against Saudi Arabia will be added to that list. But if you want to find Episode 5, then BBC Sounds. There is so much World Cup material at your leisure. And of course, BBC Sounds, you can listen to the commentary and then just scroll through the website as well as listen. But 6 minutes played here so far, 0-0, and it's been a slow start, Chris Sutton.
Yes, it has. Tentative from Germany. Japan just easing the way into this game. They've set up with a back four, and then Wataru Endo just sitting in front of that back four. He'll be the enforcer in there, getting the screens on and stopping those balls into the likes of Havertz up top for Germany.
He was a doubt coming into the game, Wataru Endo, defensive midfielder for Stuttgart. He's certainly a player who they were able to get off. There was another doubt over Matoma of Brighton and Hove Albion. Endo recovered from concussion, but Matoma had a little bit of illness. He is on the bench, the Brighton player, who's certainly impressed in the early stages of his career at the Amex. As for Arsenal's Tomiyasu, rested against Canada last week with a calf problem, not fit enough to start. Nagatomo clears away for Japan. He hoists that high, and it drops towards Kimmich to Gundogan. Central area of the Japan half, dispossessed though there by Kamada, who now runs forward. He's got Ito away to his right hand side. Here is Ito, plays it in, Maeda! Flags up on the far side, and the Japan celebrations are cut short very, very quickly from that flag that was raised on the right. It was an excellent break by Japan. Of course it will go to VAR.
He was offside. It wasn't a great run from Maeda, of course, because he was offside, but there's a warning for Germany. Kamada stealing the ball off Gundogan and just popping the ball out right to
well offside
Ito, but there's no reason for him to be offside in that position. Ian, he just gets beyond Rudiger as the cross comes in. It's a brilliant cross, but Maeda's looking across the line there, needed to time his run better. It's a good finish from him, but that's a warning to this German team. This is the way Japan are going to try and do it this afternoon. They'll be difficult to play through. They'll sit a little bit deep at times, and then they'll look to counter at pace.
Well, we said before, didn't we, when we were talking about the game and the build-up with Mark Chapman, that this German defence, you can get at it, and that was a prime example. It was Gundogan dispossessed in the midfield. Kamada carried the ball forward, out towards the right, and as Chris Sutton says, if Dyson Maeda just times that run better, he would have had a real opportunity for the goal. And he put it away well, but he was a good yard offside.
Well, and he's behind Rudiger. The ball's on the right-hand side. Rudiger, the right centre-half, he's behind him and should look across the line and time his run much, much better. But the issue Germany have is because Ram, the left-back, plays so high up the pitch, there's a huge space on that right-hand channel for Japan.
Gundogan chips the ball out towards that far side. Ito was back to challenge Raum in the air. Out of play it goes for a Germany throw. It's interesting, when that drum stops beating, and we said about feast or famine with the atmospheres, bearing in mind that there doesn't appear to be too many empty seats in a ground that holds over 45,000 people. Very, very quiet, as has just been proven there when that drum stops. For the stadium, with the exception of the top tier over on the far side that is still bathed in the late afternoon sunshine, felt very, very hot today in Doha, around 28 degrees, but certainly inside the stadium,
it's
very,
cool,
very cool.
Yeah.
The air conditioning working extremely well. They cool the pitch, certainly around 21 degrees, and it certainly will never go above 27 inside the stadium, so that will never be a problem in any of the 8 stadiums that are being used. This, of course, was the one that existed before Qatar won the rights to host the World Cup. I remember coming here with England against Brazil in a friendly in 2009, although it has had a little bit of redevelopment work since then. But it's 0-0. You're listening to 5 Live, also available on BBC Sounds, as the ball is picked up in the midfield for Musiala in a central area. And because he comes central, it creates a little bit of space for Raum, the left back, to venture forward. And he's quite high over on that far side, the Germany left.
He's playing like a left winger, isn't he? Not playing like a left back. So high up, but that's the space the Germans leave on the counter. Schlotterbeck just stepping in there.
Blonde-haired defender into Raum. Gundogan waits for the run of Raum ahead of him, hangs on to the ball, now finds the left back. The challenge is quick to come in on that far side, and Japan deal with it well. It was Tanaka who was helping out on that far side. Ito's forward ball. Kamada was going forward. Just stepping out of defence was Rudiger to beat the Japanese midfielder to the ball. And it's back with Schlotterbeck once again. And we've been playing for 11 minutes.
Yeah, all the good play from Japan has come down that right-hand side. But looking forward to seeing Takefusa Kubo. Really young, talented player. Plays is football in Spain.
Musiala gets round the back on that far side, the left. Ball is dug out and cleared. Out of play it goes for a throw. That was Endo who was back there helping out. Musiala, who really is a terrific talent, been in excellent form for Bayern. 12 goals he scored in his 22 games for Bayern. And you look at the front six of this Germany side, 4 of them actually play for Bayern, so there's a real influence in this German side. One of them was Kimmich, challenged up to the edge of the area. Ball played away on the edge of the area by Itakura, Yoshida's fellow central defender. Schlotterbeck forward. Kimmich central area. Back out to Schlotterbeck. Raum holding his line, trying to playing him in, but that was again cut out by Sakai, the right back, and then Ito hits it long. And as Chris has said, Maeda of Celtic is quite fast. He's hard running. But on that occasion he was an unwilling runner. It was too far over his shaven head and through towards Neuer.
What they are doing though, Japan, they're defending in numbers, but as soon as they win the ball back, it's Kamada who's looking to break as well, making those forward runs.
At times you feel as if you're in a footballing library, don't you here? So silent, waiting for something to happen as Musiala runs in off the back of his man, and now on that left-hand side gets the ball back to Kimmich, able to turn. Kimmich shot. It was a good block.
Tanaka, wasn't it? That made the block. Kimmich, just for a second, looked like had a shooting opportunity 25 yards out. Hammered a shot with his right foot, but crucial block from Tanaka.
Rudiger onto the ball, right of the centre circle, goes out wide to Niklas Schüller, formerly of Bayern. Now we saw him in the Champions League for Borussia Dortmund. Is Joshua Kimmich. Now chips the ball out towards Raum, but easily headed away by Sakai. An unchallenged leap forward. But at the minute, it's Germany who are picking up all those balls in the midfield, Chris Sutton.
Yes, it is, but I mean they're not hurting Japan at this moment in time. Everything is in front of the back four. Japan really well organised, as we expected, looking to pounce and counter. Interesting call, Sula at right back from Hansi Flick. He has played there predominantly for Dortmund this season, but doesn't look the most mobile, does he? Sometimes big guys like him don't, but Kehrer had the option of playing Kehrer, West Ham's Kehrer in that right back position. But I think we were told, weren't we, before the game, he's one of the 10th quickest players in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, slow to get going.
Yeah, a little bit like me.
You mentioned Kehrer. Kehrer actually played. I know you dismissed the warm-up game against Oman last week, but Kehrer did play as the right back in that game.
Well, and you think that was a huge advantage and for the Germans going into this tournament, playing a friendly against Oman, who were ranked 75th.
Not
in
quite
the world
sure they were my words,
rankings.
but I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I'd like to play that back. I think we can go, if you go on BBC Sounds, I think we could play that back.
Very good. The management will be pleased with that one. That's an unusual trail for BBC Sounds.
Take the World Cup with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't forward wind, but you can rewind. Corner kick to Germany, 0-0.
This is where they have a distinct height advantage, don't they, the Germans?
15 minutes played, corner kick to Germany. It's the Japanese supporters with a beat of the drum. Our Salvadorian referee, Ivan Barton, was just having a word there with a couple of players. Schlotterbeck was one of them. I think he was up against Endo. So we're waiting for the corner kick to be delivered. In it comes now from the left, plenty of height on it. Rudiger's with a header, just drops wide. Must have been about 10 yards out, quite deep inside the penalty area, and it was dropping at what would have been the near post as we look, the right-hand post from our position here in the main stand in the Khalifa International Stadium, but it dropped wide. It'll be a goal kick, and it remains goalless.
I don't think it's a great header at all. It goes wide, but Rudiger should head that back, trying to head it into the far corner, not trying to beat the keeper at his near post, and then maybe the likes of Havertz or some of the other German players in the box could attack it and get a touch. You go back across the goalkeeper in that situation.
Soichi Gonda, the goalkeeper, all in green away towards our right-hand side, was looking to try and hit the ball out towards the right. He went central. Germany got it back, but now they've lost it, and it's with Endo, who plays it back to Yoshida, and he goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, who's got enough time to control it with a right-footed touch, and then strikes it right-footed and floats the ball out towards the far side for the royal blue of Japan, who are playing from right to left. But they've lost the ball again in the midfield, and there was a clear sign of frustration there from Daichi Kamada, the 26-year-old midfielder, as we're back now to a gentle walking pace as it remains 0-0 in these opening 17 minutes on BBC Radio 5 Live. Morocco 0, Croatia 0, yet another goalless draw in this World Cup. And you know, when you sort of like, you tempt fate, and you message one of the bosses and you go, don't worry, rest assured this one won't end goalless. And I said that with a degree of faith, because none of the last 50 World Cup matches involving Germany have ended goalless. The last goalless draw was actually 1986, a quarter-final against Mexico.
Oh, I was going to say that.
So I speak with a degree of confidence that we will have a goal in this game here in the Khalifa Stadium.
You have been wrong before, though.
I've been wrong many times before, Chris. As a free kick goes against Japan, and Moriyasu, the 54-year-old coach who was appointed in August 2018 for Japan, turned away in frustration. He's uttering a word towards the fourth official as Schlotterbeck comes forward now for Germany. Every outfield player is in the Japan half. It's Gundogan's ball towards Gnabry with a cutback on the volley. Yoshida first time clears it away. Bouncing ball is headed forward by Zula. Now towards Kimmich, but it was Havertz with the challenge, and that was on Takefusa Kubo, and it'll be a free kick to Japan. And it's been a very quiet opening 19 minutes, 0-0.
Very cagey. I think Japan will be happy the way things are going. Just had to be watchful in that situation. Gnabry will see him more than any of the other German forwards make those runs in behind the Japanese back line. They're just getting the run on Nagatomo. The pass from Gundogan, but Yoshida, right place at the right time to make the clearance.
The familiar voice of Chris Sutton with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Musiala far side the left. Schlotterbeck goes back to Rudiger. And now it's with Müller. A little touch from Thomas Müller. Gundogan just outside the centre circle of his own half. And Sula's diagonal ball to Kimmich. Couple of touches to Gundogan. Now to Musiala. Again, drifting into a central area. Raum, little flick back towards Musiala. Excellent challenge coming in, and then the shot from Kimmich, beaten out by the goalkeeper, and then the rebound comes out.
Penalty. Has he? No, offside.
Offside. Flag was up on
the
the side.
I think he did point to the spot for a push, didn't he, initially? The referee, when the shot came in.
It was Kimmich who fouled the shot. It was a very good save, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good save.
Broke to him quickly.
Clever little flick initially from Gundogan, but he's offside. And then he's shoved when he gets the shot in. Gundogan shoved from behind, but all irrelevant because he was offside. Have a look. It's a decent hit from Kimmich. Puts his laces through the ball.
He reacted well, Soichi Gonda, away towards his right-hand side, because it broke very, very quickly to Joshua Kimmich, who last scored against Italy in June, and he only had one thing on his mind. It was a powerful drive, but then as the ball came back, there was an offside. Now, ball inside from... It was Kubo who popped up on the right-hand side, and they've got another corner kick here, Japan, as a result. Still 0-0, 21 minutes played, 5 live.
Yeah, it was really good pressing from Kubo, and sloppy from Schlotterbeck, and Kubo gets away from down that right-hand side, and Maeda had the run on Sula in the middle. And unfortunately for Japan, Kubo hit Rudiger, and the ball goes behind for a corner. to Japan. Just needed more care on the cross there, Kubo. The Japanese Messi, he's known as.
Well, let's see if he can conjure up something like Messi. As cross comes in, and it was aimed towards Itakura. Does play in his football in Spain, but not at Barcelona. Real Sociedad.
Should have been a corner, that, I think. Germans awarded with a goal kick. Yeah, it came off a German defender there, didn't it? Went behind, Raum, off Raum, the back of Raum.
2 more games to come for you as the matches continue to come thick and fast on 5 Live throughout this World Cup, where every match on 5 Live and BBC Sounds is live. Spain, Costa Rica from 4, Vicky Sparks and Rob Green, John Murray and Dion Dublin at 7. We'll watch Belgium against Canada. But this is the opening game in Group E. And the winners of this will take on those in Group F, where already Morocco 0, Croatia 0 in the last 16. As the ball, Musiala again staying central. Kimmich out towards Gnabry, high off the chest, right hand side. Midway through the Japan half, Sula joins the attack. Japan, though, defending in numbers and defending well. Haven't really had much joy so far, Germany, have they? Certainly not on this right side.
Haven't really opened the Japanese back line up at all. You had the effort from Kimmich from 25 yards, decent save from Gonda. That's been about it. They are getting more joy on the left-hand side. More or less a back 3 when they're in possession now. Raum so high up on that left-hand side. Just trying quickness of passing. It's maybe what they've been lacking, the Germans, through the middle of the park.
Here is Schlotterbeck. Gave away both penalties when England played Germany in the Nations League in Munich and at Wembley. Gundogan, little ball threaded through. Musiala, darting run. Nice little ball inside towards Müller. Müller returned it, but Japan repelled the attack. However, Raum forward, inside, Havertz down towards the byline, looking for the cutback into the penalty area. It goes. Itakura, missed by Sakai, the right back, with his attempted clearance from Itakura's header in his direction, and Germany get a throw over on that far side in what is a very expansive stadium, this, the Khalifa International Stadium. And it is going to be a throw to Germany, but not much urgency. And in fact, I just wonder if the referees told them they can't take the throw because they're looking for something through VAR, because there is a definite pause in play. Hard to see what any infringement would have been.
Possible penalty.
A possible penalty check. So here comes the Argentinian Mauro Vigliano, and it was for Endo sliding in on Havertz, but plays back underway, and it was a relatively, by VAR standards, a quick check. Decision, no penalty. The fact that play is resumed, I think we were able to work that one out.
No,
25 minutes played.
I hadn't worked that one out.
Here is Schlotterbeck. By the way, we talked before about the Germany team photo and that every player had put their hands over their mouths. Germany's, on their social media feed, have said we wanted to use our captain's armband to take a stand for values that we hold in the Germany national team: diversity and mutual respect. Together with other nations, we wanted our voice to be heard. As just break off because Kimmich on the edge of the area plays the ball out towards Gnabry. Gnabry with the cross over the head of Havertz. Raum tees it up. Gundogan shot, charged down. Kimmich heads it into the penalty area, and Itakura clears the ball away, and it remains 0-0. And I'll continue to read the rest of that statement, and it continues. It wasn't about making a political statement. Human rights are non-negotiable. That should be taken for granted, but it still isn't the case. That's why this message is so important to us. Denying us the armband is the same as denying us a voice. We stand by our position. armband or no armband, we stand by our position, was the caption underneath that team photo. And just to reiterate, they are looking at legal action against FIFA. You're listening to 5 Live and BBC Sounds, it's 0-0. Back to the action. Musiala in the penalty area, Rao in support. Sakai with a clearance, the right back. They're getting a lot of joy down that left.
They are getting a lot of joy, but you've got to credit the Japanese backline and the midfield. They're working so hard and they are so disciplined. Tracking the German runners. There's always a runner going in behind from the German forward areas.
Here is Gundogan. Gundogan, an extremely silent stadium to Sula. His forward ball. First time layoff by Havertz. Müller was under pressure. Ball went back to the edge of the centre circle, but Rudiger was there. Germany still in possession. Gnabry with a little dummy, runs through towards Müller on the right-hand side. He now cuts it back to Gnabry, in towards Gundogan's first-time shot. And Gonda with a save.
Yeah, it's a really clever piece of play from Gnabry initially. Let the ball run between his legs. And Müller, who was beyond him, cuts the ball back inside. And then one touch, two touches to Gundogan. He's 25 yards out. He tries to whip the ball in, beat Gonda at his near post, but it's quite a tame effort. It's a long way out, 25 yards out, and Gonda gathers.
Schlotterbeck with the throw on the far side. Rudiger, you're quite pleased with that one, aren't you? Here is Gundogan to Rudiger.
Aren't they strange, these hushes which happen every
It's
5 or so
it's
minutes?
quite eerie, I've got to say. Gnabry. Gundogan, man over, is Raum, plays the ball into him. Raum goes, fires it in towards the near post, comes out towards Gundogan, that's blocked, cleared away by Endo inside the penalty area. They're just starting to knock on the door of Germany. Raum with another cross, headed out this time by Itakura and out for a throw. But again, how much space did Raum have as it was played into him on that left-hand side?
Do you know what? I think it's a really poor pass out to Raum. I think Gundogan could have taken the pace off it a little bit. But Raum fires across in left-footed, and Gonda out smartly diving, pushes the ball away, and then Japanese clear the ball eventually.
And now they are on the attack with Kubo on this left-hand side, but he's just simply wrestled away by Rudiger, and then Kubo fouls Rudiger. But that was just like, thou shalt not pass from Rudiger. I mean, it's a little bit
it was like a doorman lifting someone out of a nightclub, wasn't it? You've probably been in that position a few times.
Well, I would imagine that Rudiger would have, bearing in mind the physical mismatch between he and Kubo, that would be quite easy. I think he wouldn't have lifted me off the ground as easily. Although I have lost nearly a stone in weight. Half an hour played. Here is Sula. He definitely wouldn't have lifted Sula off the ground.
Cool.
Sula is that burly,
yeah.
He could indeed be a doorman on a nightclub with his broad shoulders. But at a walking pace we go once again for Germany in possession, slowly, patiently building from the back. 15 minutes to go to half-time.
You can see there, they are a back three when they're in possession. Gnabry staying wide on that right-hand touchline. Raum really wide on the left.
Here is Kimmich. Kimmich to Raum. Raum completely unmarked, enters the penalty area. Was he fouled by the goalkeeper? The referee says yes. And a penalty. Raum took it away from Gonda. Gonda clipped him, and the Salvadorian referee gives a penalty to Germany.
Well, he gave the penalty, the referee, and then he looked like he was a little bit unsure, but I thought Gonda, he looked guilty, didn't he? That left-hand side, it's a brilliant ball clipped in, good run from Raum. They haven't dealt with him. And they're checking it. There has to be sufficient contact for a player to go down. Yeah, I think he catches him, doesn't he? Gonda He's saying he didn't, but looks like there was enough contact.
That must be the third, at least the third time that Raum has been in a position like that with so much space around him.
Well, I think at Sakai, he's playing so narrow as a right back. Musiala takes him on the inside, and then it's really important that Ito stays disciplined. He didn't, he switched off, and Raum had a lot of joy down that left-hand side, made the run, took a decent first touch, drew the goalkeeper Gonda, and now big chance for the Germans. They don't miss penalties.
İlkay Gundogan certainly doesn't. He's yet to miss for Germany. Well, that was a delayed reaction from the crowd when it came up with a penalty for VAR on the big screens. Gundogan against Gonda. Gundogan runs up now and scores, sends Gonda the wrong way, and Germany have their opening goal at the 2022 World Cup. And it's 7 out of 7 for İlkay Gundogan from the spot, and Germany lead 1-0.
Yep, I think we all expected that outcome. Cool as you like, Gundogan shapes to go to Gonda's left, whips it across him to his right-hand side. Gonda goes left. Confident penalty. The Germans getting the joy down that left-hand side. Doesn't go right in the corner, pretty centrally, but Gonda's gone. 1-0 to the Germans.
He was unable to gather it in, and as he dived away, it left a gaping hole from Gonda for Gundogan with the goal. And it's 1-0 to Germany. I can't get my head around the atmosphere. It's like we were ready for the penalty to be taken, and everybody was obsessed with the giant screen, and when it said VAR goal given, then they were cheering that decision rather than realising
that the ball was
on the spot.
On the penalty spot. That was really strange. You should get the idea if you watch football regularly that when somebody puts the ball on the penalty spot, it means penalty.
So Germany lead by a goal to 0. 5 Live and BBC Sounds here. 11 minutes to go to half-time. And Japan, who we haven't really seen much as a great deal of ambition so far from a Japan team that was certainly free scoring in qualifying, a record 58 goals. They won 15 of their 18 games. They've been passive.
Yes, they have been, but they've set up the counter-attack, and it's all very well, isn't it, at 0-0. I'm not so sure things will change too much at 1-0 at this stage, but they have been too passive.
Sakai on the overlap. Good ground on that right-hand side, but it was Raum who was back with him doing his defensive duties. He's hardly played as a left-back throughout the whole game so far, but on that occasion he did take it away off the toes of the Japanese right-back. And Japan, who haven't really done anything in open play, have now got a corner kick on that far side, the right, to take it, which Kamada is going to take. So this should be an outswinger if he takes it with his right foot on that far side, the right. Blue shirts, white shorts from right to left as we look. And we've got under 10 minutes to go to half-time. Kamada, it is an outswinger, and it's headed out by a commanding Rudiger. And then Nagatomo with the back pass to Gonda, the goalkeeper. He plays it forward to Nagatomo, who is quickly being chased by 3 white shirts, so Japan have to quickly clear the ball, and now they win it through Sakai. Leaps into the air. The referee has played the advantage, and it's a good advantage too, because Japan now with Kubo scoops the ball in towards the penalty area, but Gundogan was back there helping out, off his chest, and now it's up to Musiala. Musiala to Gnabry on the halfway line, on this near side, the right, out for a throw, and it will be a Germany throw. Chris Sutton.
Kubo should have made much more of that. It's Kamada, who made the initial challenge. I just wonder whether the referee's going to revisit the challenge on Kamada. It's a strong challenge, was it, from Schlotterbeck on him, but no card. But Kubo had the opportunity to whip the ball in earlier, took an extra touch And then the Germans got defenders back in numbers. Have to make more of those opportunities.
Yes, they certainly do, because they've been few and far between in this first half, and we've been playing for 37 minutes here in the Khalifa International Stadium, where Germany lead by 1-0 from this penalty spot taken by Manchester City's İlkay Gundogan. But it's with Ito, far side the right, no impression whatsoever. Germany dealing with that threat, and Kimmich to Gundogan. And once I can actually hear a fella shouting from the far side. It takes you back to when you used to commentate playing behind closed doors. If you've just tuned on or tuned 5 Live now or BBC Sounds, and you're thinking, how many's in this stadium? Not many empty seats. You wouldn't think 45,000. Gnabry shoots from distance. That was blocked. Ball played out. Now it's with Havertz, right corner of the area, to Thomas Müller. Müller sends over the cross, left-footed. Ito is back there helping out. Schlotterbeck, 25 yards out. Musiala with the shot, up in the air, punched down into the ground by Gonda. Comes out to Kimmich. Ball played into the penalty area low. Nobody seemed to want to have a go at goal there, as Gonda was having to retreat to his goal line. But Germany looked very, very comfortable.
Yeah, at this moment in time, Japan eventually will have to change their game plan. They're happy to defend in numbers and break out, but the Germans have that swagger, that arrogance. No, I think the issue with the crowd, I said to one of our producers last evening, it's a corporate crowd, isn't it? Prawn Sandwich Brigade.
Well, actually, there's probably more empty seats in the corporate boxes. Mind you, I'm not surprised with the eye-watering prices that you charged in there, but there doesn't appear to be too many in those burgundy seats in the middle tier. Some behind glass, some out in the open. I mean, there's a large chunk of royal blue on the far side, but maybe the Japanese support are silent.
Yeah, well, they're losing. But it may be the lack of alcohol as well in the stadiums. People get louder after a drink, don't they, Ian?
I wouldn't know here in Qatar. 6 minutes into the second half. Well, they could. That Japanese travelling support needs to heed a lesson from the red wall, because when Wales support, when they were behind the other night against the United States, they never stopped singing. As Kubo is forward, but he won't keep that ball in play. Actually, he does with a cutback. Now it's a late flag. Didn't think he had.
Oh,
he's actually gone down with an injury as well. There isn't much where there's a switch from the turf to the artificial turf. That can cause problems for players. You haven't got much.
I mean, it's the same in in English stadiums, isn't it? There's a couple of yards of grass. Think of Old Trafford, they've got those little slopes, haven't they?
Yeah, the camber.
And you have players of great pace who are up to speed. It's hard to decelerate.
Germany 1, Japan 0. Gundogan from the penalty spot. The German supporters away towards our left. They're trying to start off a Mexican way. There's an atmosphere breaking out. Here is Gnabry on this near side, the right.
There's not a wave breaking out. That was one of the smallest waves ever, wasn't it? Stopped.
Yeah. Well, maybe, what do you say, the corporate brigade aren't used to tossing their prawn sandwiches in the air. Here is Gundogan. Gundogan from distance, charged down and picked up. And it's eventually taking off. It started off as a ripple, and now all of a sudden it's sweeping around this vast stadium that holds 45,500 people here inside the Khalifa Stadium, where Germany lead by 1-0. And it's with Musiala, Raum again, marauding, back towards Musiala. He goes off to Müller, back towards Kimmich. He laid it off just inside the D. Kimmich outside the D, right-footed shot, always on the rise. And it will go out for a goal kick.
They are in total control, though. There's the wave again. It's going round now. Yeah, it's going all the way round now, Ian, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm tempted to join in. Japan playing at such a sedate pace. It's actually had that feel to it throughout. There's got to be a little bit more intensity for Japan. Free kick has been given to Germany. As it continues to go around the ground, Raum seen so much the ball with the cross, aimed towards Muller in the area, picked up by Gonda.
I think that's the criticism of the manager, Moriyasu, that he sets his team up quite negatively. If they want to get back into this game, they have to try and take the game to the Germans much more and go toe-to-toe. Maybe that will happen, but they won't want to concede a second.
I remember being in Moscow 4 years ago when Germany lost their opening game to Mexico. First time that they'd lost an opening game since 1982. On the balance of what we've witnessed so far in these 43 minutes, there's no chance of Germany losing this one. They lead by 1-0. There's every chance that we'll have to hope that Mark Chapman set an alarm clock for him to resume presenting duties as Kimmich floats the ball forward. Musiala keeps the ball in play as he takes it out of the penalty area on the right-hand side. The cross from Gnabry headed back by Raum. The Couture's headed away, only to the edge of the area. Musiala plays it in towards Raum. That was risky from Ito, let it go across his body. He's actually conceded possession. He had a chance to clear it, but he's given it back to Germany with Raum, the left-back, who's played really as a left winger throughout the first half. Such has been the dominance of Germany, all in white, playing in their white shirts and black shorts from left to right. Here is Gundogan. There's no jeopardy in the game. No jeopardy from Japan.
No, just trying to hang on in there, stay in the game. That's the game plan, but you have to be adaptable. Maybe that will come, but they are playing with such fear. So tentative. They're not giving the Germans anything to think about. And the Germans totally dominant.
Ball played out by Neuer to Schlotterbeck, who can pick up that ball about 25 yards out from his own goal. He's over the halfway line and he's now midway through the Japan half as he lays it off towards Gundogan. We hear German voices inside the Khalifa International Stadium. Germany lead by 1-0. Musiala, sharp turn, and the shot right-footed on the rise, just on the edge of the area. Couldn't keep it down. Goal kick, 1-0 Germany, close to half-time.
Yeah, razor sharp from Musiala. Gets on the half-turn, dynamic, creates a half a yard of space. Should do better with the shot. Ball's fizzed into him by Kimmich. Itakura, who comes out, tries to shut him down, but quick touch with it outside of his right foot away, and then he lifts the ball well over Gonda's bar.
4 minutes of added on time in the first half. As there's another stoppage, Sakai has gone down on the far side. I wouldn't have said 4 minutes.
What would you have said?
60 seconds. One stoppage with an injury, no substitutions. What is it that the FIFA are wanting?
I don't mind this. I don't mind it, you know. The ball's out of play a lot, isn't it? See players time waste. You want your pie. That's what you're thinking about.
Argentina, Saudi Arabia, I think they played about 15 minutes of stoppage time in the second half. That's like having a game go to the first period of extra time. It's 1-0 to Germany. We're in stoppage time here in Qatar. BBC Radio 5 Live. And it's a throw to Japan on the halfway line.
They've shown such a lack of ambition. Maybe it will come in the second half.
Here is Havertz Again, they're attacking on the left. Musiala, Raum on the overlap. Musiala goes it alone, enters the penalty area, pulls it back to Gnabry. Gnabry drifts to the left corner of the area. Raum's available to him, level with the penalty area. Here he is. He goes inside. Musiala, always sharp, square, pulled back. Sula joins the attack, the right back. Thought about the dig, didn't. Lays it out towards Müller, crosses around knee height. Hard for Kimmich to control that ball inside the penalty area, and Japan will get it away, but he's going to keep coming back out of them. This is all about how much Germany, and bearing in mind when it comes to the criteria of the group, goal difference could be key, and this potentially could be a difficult group. You would think that Germany would want more goals than just the one that they've got so far.
Yep, and that pretty much sums up Japan's first half performance. At Yoshida getting the ball edge of his own box, nothing on, and just punting a ball into the channel, and eventually goes out of play. I mean, they may as well go home, Japan, if they're going to be this negative.
A sense of adventure surely awaits in the second half. Wales were poor in the first half against the US the other night, but they put in a much improved performance. The coach changed things, Rob Page. Incidentally, Friday's when Wales and England are next back in action. 4 games a day. We've still got Spain, Costa Rica in this group to come at 4, followed by Belgium, Canada at 7. And then tomorrow, Switzerland, Cameroon, Brazil, Serbia, that's at 7 o'clock. Many of the favourites for Brazil against Serbia, Uruguay, South Korea, Portugal, Ghana in Group H. Are you doing a game tomorrow?
I'm doing a game every day for the next 3 months, I think, Ian.
Germany, chance maybe in this stoppage time to increase their lead. Gnabry picks it up, runs into the space, he's got support. Musiala plays it out towards Müller. Müller to the byline, chips it towards the far post. Downward header comes towards it to corner. Shot comes in, followed in, close range. Kai Havertz.
Wonder whether he's offside. Just wonder whether he's offside. I think the Germans deserve to go in at the break more than 1 up.
They're looking at the flag, but the flag has stayed down. Certainly, VAR will have a look, as it was crossed from the left-hand side. It was a simple tap-in for Kai Havertz. He did have a little glance around, but Japan never dealt with the danger.
No, the ball stood up from Müller and has headed away. Kimmich with a left-footed shot.
Offside.
He is offside.
Won't count.
Yeah, it's Musiala. I don't know whether it's a shot or a cross, and Havertz centrally, just beyond. I think it's Yoshida. Yeah, it's a shot, I think, from the wide area.
As the shot came in initially from Kimmich, it was saved by the goalkeeper. Musiala then from the left-hand side, but the assistant referee never raised his flag at all, even late.
So what's going on here? The
VAR are having a look again.
I mean, all the players are set up to kick off again, aren't they, from the centre circle? Here we go. They're taking their time, aren't they?
Well, I was going to say, for a VAR check, that surely had to be one of the easiest ones. First glance that we saw it on the monitor, we were able to say that it was offside.
Well, you can hear the Japanese fans are happy with that. Maybe we'll see another wave around the stadium.
Well, certainly it's a let-off for Japan, because there'd have been no way back from 2-0 down the way they played in the first half. But Kai Havertz's goal in first half stoppage time ruled out for offside. Nagatomo with a cross from the left, and the header just wide. It was Maeda, 12 yards out, just tried to glance it by adjusting his upper body, and it ran wide by about a good 2 yards to the right-hand post, far side, 1-0 Germany.
Yeah, Nagatomo just creating a little bit of space, chops inside on his right foot, whips a ball in, and yeah, Maeda 10 yards out. It's a difficult one because it's behind him, and he's just trying to use the pace of the ball. It's an in-swinger to direct it on target, but it goes wide. There's the half-time whistle.
Half-time, Germany lead Japan by 1-0. Japan had a goal ruled out for offside in the early stages after 8 minutes. It was Ito with the cross. Maeda a good yard offside, and then Gundogan with a penalty put Germany ahead after 33 minutes, and then Germany had a goal quite rightly ruled out offside for Havertz from close range in first half stoppage time. So, half-time here in the Khalifa International Stadium. It's Germany 1, Japan 0.
Chris?
Yeah. Hi, Mark. I didn't hear you there.
Did you take any headphones off? What were you doing?
No, I just, I don't know, there was some sort of silence there, and myself and Ian looked at each other bemused, as we have done for most of the first half, with Japan's performance as much as anything. It's been a strange performance from Japan. We know they like to counter-attack, but they've shown a real lack of ambition, especially after the German goal. Germany have had a lot of joy, haven't they, down that left-hand side. I think it was a penalty. Ram was brought down as a Gundogan, and then Germany have just dominated and nearly had the second just before half-time. What do we know? We know that Japan have to be more adventurous in this second half and risk losing the game to try and get back in the game. But I've been slightly disappointed with Japan's reaction after the first goal more than anything, because it's okay to set up and try and keep things tight, and we understand that, and it's okay to set up the counter-attack, but the goal changes everything. And I'm sure second half, well, I'm not sure second half, but I'd like to think that the Japanese, who have some really creative players, show more intent in the second period.
You've both talked about the crowd during that first half. Do you think at all some of the crowd noise doesn't sound very authentic to me? And I thought that during the England game at that stadium.
Do you know what? I've got a suspicion that the section where they are banging the drum from the right-hand side, they are a good 2, 3, 4 blocks away from the main support of where the Japanese fans in their thousands are on that far side. And you know that there were some England supporters who came over to Qatar, and they were invited over by Qatar. I just wonder if they are the hired help.
Okay. Archie Rinton, German football expert, been listening to the German commentary of this, which obviously is not at the standard of Ian and Chris, I would imagine. Archie, what have they been saying? What have they been saying about that first 45 minutes?
It's a bit less moany than Chris, isn't it? Well, the funny thing for me was, as soon as the Gundogan penalty went in, after all this uncertainty from the Germans before this tournament, suddenly the commentator goes, well, the first goal in the World Cup in 2014 was also a penalty, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So, yeah, I think on the whole, it's been encouraging, but also, there's something about the way that the Germans look at football that they are very, very critical. And I was having a chat with Daniel Farke, the former Norwich boss and Borussia Mönchengladbach coach now, about this, and he says it's something in their nature that sometimes they overdo it. That said, I think that there is still a worry about, even if, as Chris says, there's been a lack of ambition from Japan, an old problem rearing its head again with that disallowed goal by Japan early in the first half, with just how vulnerable Germany look on the counter. And this is one of the weaknesses of Hansi Flick, I would say, as a coach, is that he can be so attacking at times that at Bayern, he could get away with it because he had this wonderful defensive mop called Alphonso Davies. David Raum is good, but he is not nearly as quick as Alphonso Davies is. And yeah, that's just one thing for Germany, but overall, encouraging first half for them.
And on the One Love armband, the German Interior Minister, Nancy Faeser, shown wearing that One Love armband in the stadium. The German team, for their team photo, putting their hands over their mouths, very much like players talk to each other at the end of a game, actually. But the German football team Twitter account saying it wasn't about making a political statement, human rights are non-negotiable, that shouldn't be taken for granted, it still isn't the case. Sorry, that should be taken for granted, but it still isn't the case. That's why this message is so important to us. Denying us the armband is the same as denying us a voice. We stand by our position.
I think it's significant, this protest, but at the same time, I think when we look at what counts as being powerful in sport, you have to sacrifice something. And the question to the players at the heart of this whole armband saga was, how much do you care about what has happened for this tournament to take place? And I think that too much, they've wanted to have their cake and eat it. And look, would it have been more powerful had they gone ahead and won and worn the One Love armband? I think it would have been, because that would have been a direct contradiction. This, I think, works as a gesture, but it still does feel like it fits in too much with, everything else. I think you need to step over the line in a different way for it to really have a powerful effect.
Archie, for the moment, thank you very much. 3 minutes shy of 2 o'clock. Richard Foster has your news.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon. The Supreme Court has ruled that the Scottish Government can't hold an independence referendum without getting permission from Westminster. Judges have been asked to rule on whether Nicola Sturgeon's government would have the power to hold a vote next year. The city of Lviv in Ukraine is completely without power after widespread Russian missile strikes across the country. Moldova, which borders Ukraine, has also reported massive blackouts, but it hasn't been hit directly. New figures suggest the squeeze on people trying to get new mortgages has eased a little. The Financial Information Service Money Facts says the average 5-year fixed mortgage rate fell below 6% for the first time in 7 weeks yesterday. Royal Mail says it's made a best and final offer to staff aimed at preventing strike action by union members in the run-up to Christmas. The deal includes a pay rise of up to 9% over 18 months and a new profit share scheme for workers. And the 110-metre-high blast furnace at the former Teesside Steelworks has been demolished. Crowds gathered to watch the structure in Redcar come down, with the explosion heard 20 miles away. The steelworks closed in 2015.
This is a public service announcement.
Weekdays from 2.
It's time for Scott Mills on Radio 2.
Would you mind doing me a quick review?
You're doing brilliant. I'm enjoying you on Radio 2.
You're a very nice man. Thank you very much. Every time this comes on Radio 2, I turn it right up.
The head's going, the shoulders go in. I'm like bouncing around on the seat. Probably one of the world's most embarrassing mums because of your show.
Scott Mills on Radio 2.
Tell all your friends on that school run to turn Radio 2 on as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Scott Mills all the way.
Weekdays from 2.
Listen live on BBC Sound.
BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022 with Mark Chapman.
Unbelievable from Radio 2. They're so worried about all of you coming over to listen to us rather than listening to Scott that they're now putting trailers out for him right at the time he's about to start. Stick with us. Germany lead Japan by 1-0. The other two teams in this group, Spain and Costa Rica. That follows at 4 o'clock. Vicky Sparks.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mark. I'm here with Rob. And we are looking forward to this one, yes.
Good, excellent. Yeah, Rob Green alongside Vicky. Spain will be feeling exactly the same as Germany pre-match, Rob, won't they? In that the fact that these two are in the same group, they need to get off to a good start.
I think even more so for Spain in the fact that they are playing against probably the least fancied team out of the group. Again, Costa Rica punching above their weight to qualify, getting here. They thrive or have created their success on defensive know-how, not so much on attacking prowess. So to keep the ball is what we know Spain for. To go and score the goals, they haven't got the out-and-out. They've got Alvaro Morata. They've had a problem in giving him a rest or taking his place as such. And so the goals, where they come from against a really dogged side, is going to be the question today for Spain. Yeah, you feel like with the other two teams looming, they need to come up with something today.
Well, Spain have been improving, Vicky, under Luis Enrique, who, of course, is twitching his way through this World Cup.
He's such an interesting character, isn't he, to watch down on the touchline. His contract, incidentally, is up at the end of the year, and he says he won't sign a new one until after the World Cup, because if things go wrong, you, and by that he means the media, won't have to ask me to be fired. But yeah, I think what's so exciting about Spain at this tournament is what we saw at the Euros as well, and of course they reached the semi-finals and only lost on penalties to Italy, is that there is such a young attacking feel about this side, but it's a young attacking side that is already so experienced. I mean, you've got Pedri and Gavi, who are doing so well at club level for Barcelona. And often when you talk about young sides coming into a tournament, you're looking for maybe players that people haven't heard of, or ones that are going to take a tournament by storm and by surprise. But that's it. When you look at the Spain side, you think, yes, although these players are still young, they feel as though they're already doing it on the big stage domestically, regularly, week in, week out for their clubs. A lot of them have had experience of the Euros as well last summer, and can they then go all the way? And let's not forget, Spain's under-23s at the Olympics last summer as well, picked up the silver medal against Brazil. So it's this generation coming through, of course, with the experienced heads such as Sergio Busquets as well. But the mix is exciting, very exciting for Spain.
That game kicks off in 2 hours' time. It's 5:02 here in Doha, and darkness has already fallen. Let's just switch to England. Jordan Pickford's been talking to the media ahead of Friday's game against the USA. He was asked how Harry Kane is doing after he had a scan on his right ankle.
I think he's good. Probably be a little bit sore, but I think he's fine. He's out on the grass today with us, so that's good. And he's our captain, and I think he's fine, yeah.
That's a huge relief to a lot of people in this room and to England fans all around the place. I mean, there's so much talent in this England squad, so, I mean, no disrespect to anybody else in the squad, but is he the one player that's irreplaceable if he's injured?
No, I think everyone will take the chance. I think when Harry came off, about 70 minutes, Callum come on and played really well. Got the assist for Jack. He was very unselfish and gave Jack his goal. And I think everyone's training really hard. Everyone's here for a reason, to play football. And but obviously Harry is an unbelievable player. He sets the example in the squad. He's the leader. He's the captain, and we all look up to him. There's also opportunities for other lads as well.
Gareth's already voiced concern that England were used as an example of a goal that shouldn't stood in the referees' meeting. The penalty shout against Harry didn't go your way. How worried are you that England might face unfair treatment here? Yeah,
it got brought up in the referees' meeting, which we were involved in. But hopefully we get fair side of it. And it's never going to be perfect. I think you're never going to get be happy all the time with VAR decisions, but I think Harry's one could have been a penalty from even my point of view. But yeah, you can't always be perfect from the referee's side, and just hopefully we'll get our decisions when we feel like we need them.
Jordan Pickford there. The main thing, Rob Green, on that is that Harry Kane is out on the grass despite having his scan.
Yes, and after the game he was seen wearing a light strapping. Now with an ankle injury, normally what you see is, even as a precautionary measure, the boot that we see so often with injured players on, having it put on just to make sure to keep it immobile, to take the weight off, that wasn't deemed necessary, so it clearly was a precautionary scan. Hearts are always in mouths, and I thought actually Jordan Pickford did quite well not to take that personally when they asked, is he the only player not to be irreplaceable? He's saying, thanks very much.
How would you have responded to that?
I wouldn't have been asked.
Well, there is strength in depth though at the keeper position, isn't there?
Yes, and you look at that, and you look at Harry Kane and look at the qualities that he does have, and Callum Wilson has different qualities as a centre forward. Now, some games they might be more suited to Callum Wilson, but you would say for the amount of goals purely alone that Harry Kane has brought in such important situations and such a big stage, that he is the man, and he will be for this tournament alone.
Yeah, but if they didn't need to risk him against the USA, maybe they could leave him out.
Get the points on the board, please, and get it over the line, and then you know what? I think Wales might turn around and say, actually, if you want to risk him for a game or to ease him off for a game, then let it be us. But yeah, get to 6 points. Let's move on and then take a call from there, because Monday to Friday is in the tournament stage quite a big gap for us. There's enough time in there at the moment.
Okay, Vicky, Rob, thank you very much for the time being there. Your commentary team in 2 hours' time for Spain against Costa Rica, which is the other game in this Germany-Japan group. At half-time, Germany lead by 1-0. Chris talking about the prawn sandwich eating brigade during the first half. My researcher here during the course of that half tells me that you've been having quite a lot of prawn sandwiches on this trip.
Who told you that? Yeah,
your roommate.
Oh, did he? Yeah. I'm a one-trick pony, really. Well, I mean, I wouldn't, I'm surprised he's gone there with the amount he's eaten on this trip. So he needs to be careful, my roommate.
My other research tells me you have beef and cheese sandwiches, which sounds absolutely revolting.
Well, that's all. Yeah. Well, I got dumped the other evening by Bruce. He went out with John Murray and everybody else, but I was working, and so I had beef and cheese sandwiches for 2 nights on the spin. Really nice, actually. I'll make you one. I'll bring one down one evening.
You're absolutely fine, thanks. I'm okay on that. This game has got back underway. Ian, whenever you're ready.
I was ready about 30-odd seconds ago, but I was quite enjoying the look on Chris's face when you took him by surprise talking about the prawn sandwich brigade. But I've got something important to say, is that we've had a substitution, and Tomiyasu of Arsenal has come on, and he has replaced Kubo. So it's a defender for a midfielder. They've gone to
3 centre-halves.
3 centre-backs now, haven't they? So Sakai is the right wing-back. So Japan playing from left to right, royal blue shirts, white shorts. Gonda is in goal. Sakai now as the right wing back, with Yoshida, Itakura and Tomiyasu as the 3 central defenders. Yuto Nagatomo is now playing as a left wing back, which then leaves Tanaka, Kamada and Endo in the midfield, with Maeda and Ito as the 2 up front. Run through the Germany side in a moment, but Germany are on the attack. And the shot coming in is blazed over by Gnabry, right-hand side of the penalty area. He went for glory there, so we'll get Chris's thoughts on that after I've given you their starting lineup, as they play from right to left, with Neuer in goal, back 4 of Sula, Rudiger, Schlotterbeck and round the defence. Kimmich and Gundogan, the goal scorer from the penalty spot in the first half. Gnabry, Müller, Musiala and Havertz. Chris.
Yeah, Thomas Müller with a driving run, just popped the ball out right to Gnabry. There's an angle a little bit against him, from 12-14 yards out, blazed the ball well over the bar. The Germans will be thinking, let's get another goal and put this game to bed. I don't know. Oh, the goalkeeper takes a chance there. Gonda for Japan. Change of formation, change of system. I don't know what it is in Japanese for park the bus, but that's what they did in the first half, and they have to show more intent in this second half. They really do. Get support up to Daisen Maeda, who's been very, very isolated.
Germany then lead by 1-0 in this, the second of 4 games on what is day 4 of the World Cup. Morocco 0, Croatia 0 earlier. Spain, Costa Rica to come, followed by Belgium against Canada, as Japan play the ball back to Gonda, the keeper, who doesn't look at all too comfortable with his feet. He let it run a long way out towards his right-hand side before he hoisted it away downfield.
And that's odd in itself. I mean, Daisen Maeda isn't the biggest. Junior Ito isn't the biggest, and the ball launched downfield, and the German centre-halves are going to gobble that up all evening, aren't they?
Ball just lifted into the path of Gundogan inside the centre circle, and then Yoshida just steps forward, drills it quite hard and low into the feet of Kamada, and Japan unable to hold onto the ball once again. And just as we had in the first half, as a lot of supporters are still walking up and down the steps, coming back from the gangways, taking their seats, it's that subdued atmosphere once again, with the exception of that band of Japanese supporters detached away from the rather large bulk of blue on that far side. There was somebody who sent a message, it made me laugh, on social media. It was Keith Escott, who said, listening to 5 Live Sport, Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis on the Germany-Japan game, guys, the atmosphere is so bad. It's so bad I can hear what sounds like a bird song. I tell you what, that could be the next idea for the roommates, Bill and Ben, Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball, for the 5 Live Football Daily, or the World Daily, World Cup Daily, as a shot comes in on the edge of the area from Kamada, takes a deflection, you could do the birdie song in your matching pyjamas. Couldn't you?
Well,
Film
yeah,
it.
we'll have to get that alcohol licence before we do that. But this Ito actually takes a tumble. He dives inside the box. He's better than that, Ito. It's simulation, World Cup simulation. I'm going to call him out for that, but Japan have a corner. I may be wrong, I don't get this though.
In comes the corner from the far side, headed away by Müller.
They're not the biggest. The Germans have such a height advantage over Japan. They haven't tried to work anything short. The 3 corners I think Japan have had show a bit of invention.
Nagatomo heads it away. Yoshida loses the ball. It breaks towards Gundogan, 25 yards out from goal. Musiala flicks it along the ground towards Raum. Level with the penalty area left-hand side. Musiala always looking with a real threat. Excellent footwork by Musiala. What a goal this could be! And he couldn't keep it down. He jinked his way in towards the penalty area. He weaved away from the challenge and then right-footed by the penalty spot. He got the conversion. It was over the crossbar. 1-0 Germany goal kick.
Oh, what a goal this would have been. It's almost as if the ball is glued to Musiala's foot. Chops inside at first, goes past 3-4 Japanese defenders and needs to show a bit more composure there. He ballooned the ball well over the bar when he should have scored. 12 yards out, big opportunity, worked the opportunity superbly well for himself.
Germany still leading by 1-0, 7 minutes into the second half. Japan certainly don't have happy memories of Qatar. They refer to the tragedy of Doha. That's how many talk about a late 2-1 defeat against Iran, followed by a 2-2 draw with Iraq that cost Japan a place at the World Cup in the '94 version in the United States. And indeed, they actually lost to Qatar in the UAE in the Asian Cup final in 2019, and certainly here just haven't really got going. Trailing by 1-0.
I don't know what brand of football they're trying to play. They haven't had any real patterns of play to get up the pitch. It's really quite odd. I didn't expect this performance to be this tepid from Japan. No real combination play, and they've got some really good technicians in that midfield. We spoke about Kamada. He played exceptionally well in the Bundesliga this season. Endo's a good player. Tanaka comfortable on the ball, but they haven't been willing to play.
Japan are coming forward now. Kamada forces the ball out to Sakai on this near side. Back towards Kamada, side onto goal. Crosses the ball out towards the far side, and then it's volleyed out wide and out for a goal kick. And it goes out for a goal kick to Germany.
Yes, it does. They actually work the ball pretty well, edge of the box, and it's a decent cross from Tanaka, but just not able to hook the ball back across the 6-yard box. But are we finally seeing Japan get after the Germans? And Neuer takes a chance. Heavy touch there away from Maidu, put him under pressure. Just a little bit of panic from Neuer.
I've got to say, I wish I'd never read out that tweet about, if you pardon the expression, about the birdie song. That was an unintentional pun, because I've now got the birdie song in my head every time I can hear the person who's whistling. Germany 1, Japan 0. They finished second in their group for qualifying behind Saudi Arabia, but we saw the intensity and the energy of Saudi Arabia against Argentina, offside against Kamada, and that really has been lacking from Japan.
Yeah, look, as I said, in the first half, it's okay, you set up, you have a game plan, but the goal changes everything. Kamada there, really, that's a good line from the German line. Kamada makes his run too early, but maybe we're just seeing the signs of change now. Japan pressing the Germans higher up the pitch, trying to win the ball higher up the pitch, but it runs the risk of the Germans playing through them.
Well, they're coming forward now and they're looking threatening, and round towards Havertz, the creep off his line, won't get there. The second attempt, it comes out towards Musiala, tries to roll it in. Referee's blown his whistle. It was a late flag on the far side.
Yeah, Havertz had just made his movement too early, but I don't mind that. You know, Japan pressing the Germans high up the pitch. Well, Havertz was actually onside there. That was a poor decision. The assistant waited and waited. Gonda just gets there before Havertz, but that would have been an opportunity for the Germans.
That's the voice of Chris Sutton on BBC Radio 5 Live. Musiala back to Rudiger in the centre circle, and because of Maeda, goes all the way back to Manuel Neuer. What is his 7th major final, his 4th at a World Cup. Remember him in 2010, all those years ago back in South Africa, as there's a blow to the head there of Musiala, and that will mean there is a stoppage in play, and Japan are going to make another change. So we've already seen Tomiyasu come on at half-time for Japan, and now we are going to have Mitoma, who's done well for Brighton and Hove Albion. He has had a little bit of illness. That's the reason why he maybe didn't start the game, so he's going to be coming on, and also we're going to be seeing Asano. So these are two positive changes that are being made. Nagatomo is the player who's going to be coming off, and Maeda is the other player who's going to be coming off. So Asano will go on in place of Maeda, the Celtic player, and then I would imagine that Brighton's Kaoru Mitoma will fill in on that left-hand side as a left wing-back. But changes that need to happen to try and produce something, and straight away Asano involved, out towards Ito, right-hand side, a good cross into Asano, throws himself at it, near side of the 6-yard box, heads it out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, lively start from Asano, just pops it out wide, and there's a good early cross in. Asano had made his run beyond the near post, level with the point of the 6-yard box, and couldn't get his head up on target. But this is better from Japan, not letting the Germans have it all their own way, really pressing them high up the pitch, not backing off. Surprised they didn't take this tactic in the first half.
So he has gone over on there, hasn't he? It is like for Mitoma to replace Nagatomo as the left wing back. He's one of Pat Nevin's new favourite players, Mitoma. When he's seen him, in fact before he actually seen him at Brighton, he was on loan at Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium last year. He's a left winger, really has impressed, certainly caught the eye of Pat Nevin. 2 goals in his 11 appearances, just only a couple of Premier League starts though, as he's been eased into life in the Premier League down on the south coast, as Japan are hoping that he can make some sort of impression as they look for an equaliser. And Germany won't be comfortable until they get that insurance of a second goal. Leading 1-0 as we approach the hour mark, and Musiala just about kept the ball in play on this near side, the left corner of the area, has support always from round. His cross headed down by Tomiyasu, can't hold on to the ball, those blue shirts of Japan. And now it is with Kimmich, diagonal ball. Gundogan. Just still don't feel though that Germany have been stretched yet in this contest. Certainly Musiala, always a threat, has some support. It's Gundogan, and Gundogan hits the base of the right-hand post. Beautiful little layoff by Musiala, and Gundogan so close to getting a second goal and also increasing Germany's lead, but denied by the post.
Yeah, but it's really good build-up play. He drifts superbly, Gundogan. Do you know what he should score? A wonderful touch into his path, and he's just trying to slip the ball inside Gonda's far post, and the ball cannons off the left-hand post and wide. The Germans should be out of sight.
Here is Gundogan once again, midway through the Japan half. He finds Gnabry, tries for the cutback, almost came back to Gnabry, and then it's going to be run out of defence by Matoma, almost runs himself into some trouble. And then he's played the ball out wide towards that far side, and Tomiyasu looking now towards Matoma, who's got a bit of space to run into, and all of a sudden it's 3 against 4. Germany do have but it's 3 against 3 now, and it's now with Asano, who shoots. And Neuer watches the ball go across his goal and well off target and out for a goal kick.
Never look comfortable. That's a big chance for Japan, and that's all it takes, isn't it? The Germans only 1 up. Matoma pops the ball out left-hand side of the box. It's a decent enough first touch from Asano, but just leans back. Got to work Neuer in that situation. Got to hit the target. Real lack of conviction with that effort.
He too plays his football in Germany for Bochum. Ito, right-hand side. Ito's low cross strikes the body of Schlotterbeck. They're just starting to get a little bit of I wouldn't say a foothold, it's a toe in the game maybe for Japan.
Yeah, but this may suit Germany. You know, Hansi Flick happy to go toe-to-toe. It's the way he managed in Munich. But Japan have to take a risk. They need to get back into the game, and yeah, they may feel that they can hurt this German team if the Germans aren't clinical.
Well, Asano has got a little bit of pace. Musiala just caught by Itakura. That'll be a free kick. We haven't had a yellow card in the contest so far, and the Salvadorian referee Ivan Barton will not show one on this occasion. It's just a friendly, gentle talking to the Japanese defender.
So clever, isn't he? Musiala on that half turn has that awareness just out of the corner of his eye. You'll see, sees Itakura coming to try and nick the ball off him in front of him, lets it run across his body, takes it on the back foot, draws the foul.
Certainly look very, very sharp, that is for sure. Here is Gundogan on the halfway line. Nice. Almost coming to a standstill now, Gundogan. So there's no pressure on the ball whatsoever from Japan. They've got every player back behind the ball towards Rudiger. Short diagonal ball to Gundogan, Kimmich, and then played back to Schlotterbeck. And as Chris mentioned, at times it looks like they are playing with 3 central defenders. That's going to be offside against Havertz.
A terrible run from Havertz. I mean, blimey. Goes so early, just needs to bend his run a little bit more. It's not a natural in that number 9 position. It's a bit of a problem area for the German team. It's a brilliant centre forwards over the years, Ian. The Germans.
Yeah.
More of a big, bulky types closer. Bierhoff. Maybe what they're lacking.
Yeah, well, the lad who scored on his debut, Nicholas Füllkrug, has certainly had an impressive season so far for Werder Bremen. Second half substitute against Oman. Scored on his debut.
Yeah, such an important game for the Germans, that, wasn't it?
Don't you start. I've had Kelly sending me messages as well, taking the mickey. Laid off by Itu. Forward ball by Tomiyasu. And Asano won't get there. Rudiger came across and snuffed out the danger. He had been a doubt. He hadn't played up until last Thursday, their own warm-up game for Japan, and since the 10th of September with a right knee problem for Takuma Asano. But the Bochum striker is rapid, and certainly he showed his pace there, but Rudiger was equal to it. Germany still lead by a 1-0. Here, little touch played out on this right-hand side for Sakai, but it's offside. It'll be a free kick to Germany.
Do you think the Germans could get a little bit nervous at 1-0? Do Germans get nervous, Ian?
Well, they're going to freshen things up, I know that for a fact. They're going to make a couple of changes themselves. Goretzka's going to be coming on, and we are also going to be seeing Jonas Hoffmann who's going to be coming on too.
Gladbach.
That's right. He will be coming on to the field of play. Can play in defence or midfield, Jonas Hoffmann. It's the German supporters on the far side who are now trying to whip up another Mexican wave. But I've just been so disappointed with Japan. They might still get something from the game. There's 25 minutes remaining. Let's see what happens. Trailing by a 0-0. Sakai plays it back. Goes to a central area. Matomo. Now with Tanaka. Tomiyasu. Along the ground. Asano turns, shoots. Gets a corner kick as well.
Better, yeah, you said about Japan getting a foothold in this game. They're taking the game to Germany. I feel their confidence may just be growing. Need to try and create something clear-cut. I don't get this. They have to play it short. They may score direct from a header, but the Germans are just so much bigger.
Corner kick for Japan, swung over deep, and the header from Itakura at the far side of the penalty area. It was unmarked, and it was headed away by Schlotterbeck.
He pulled him behind Musiala, didn't he? He's hit to beyond the far post, and Musiala not looking at the ball, just looking at Itakura. Itakura tries to go back across, does the right thing, but it was Schlotterbeck slotting that header away.
Well, you talked before about the German centre forwards who've gone before. Miroslav Klose, the famous Gerd Müller, Jürgen Klinsmann. They've scored only more goals than Thomas Müller for Germany at World Cup finals, but Müller unable to add to his tally of 10. So he has come off to be replaced by Jonas Hoffmann. And then the other change is Gundogan, like for like really. Gundogan being replaced by Goretzka of Bayern Munich in the midfield. So two changes made by Germany, and we're midway through the second half here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And it's still Germany leading through that Gundogan first half penalty. Remember, by the way, as well, when you're watching games on BBC television, I mean, 5 Live and BBC Sounds have every game, but when it's on BBC TV, you can watch and listen with a 5 Live commentary. You just have to look out for the World Cup Extra on the BBC iPlayer. It gives you that option.
Yeah, Goretzka's just slotted in behind Kimmich.
Sakai's header forward. Asano in towards the penalty area. Took it first time, tightly marked by Rudiger, comes behind it. Asano has made a difference since he's come onto the field of play. Corner kick to Japan.
He has made a difference, but you've got to say the Japanese have been much better in this second half. They've shown more intent, and Rudiger does really well, but the ball headed from Sakai into Asano, the angle against him. Rudiger stands up and makes the block, but confidence growing.
Daichi Kamada with the corner kick. It's an outswinger right-hand side. Itakura was there once again, and it's scooped up by Neuer. Just wouldn't really drop towards the central defender as it's rolled out underarm towards Sula. And he trots forward, and still at a walking pace with Kimmich to Schlotterbeck. Still don't feel that Germany have really got out of first gear throughout this game.
No, but as I said before, they'll want that second goal. They've had pretty much control of this game. You can see the Japanese pushing now and really getting after Germany, middle of the park.
2018 was only the second time in Germany's illustrious World Cup history that they had not reached the quarter-finals. 1938 was the other occasion. This is their 20th World Cup appearance, only the second team to reach such a landmark after Brazil. They are serial challengers. Musiala, central position. Kimmich with a chip over. Gnabry with a layoff. Good save by the goalkeeper to keep out Hoffmann. Still the German threat remains. Gnabry's shot curling, beaten away by Gonda once more. Musiala now picks it up left-hand side. Raum runs forward, down towards the byline with the cross in the area. Gonda again with a save from Gnabry, and a second save from Gonda. And Gnabry can't believe it. Great work by Gonda. Golden work by Gonda. Corner kick.
Great work by Gonda. Great stuff. 4 saves in quick succession. It's a brilliant ball from Kimmich initially. Gnabry really unselfish, pops the ball back to Hoffmann. Gonda down to his left-hand side. Then they recycle the ball. Gonda again down to his right-hand side this time. Ball comes out. Musiala pops it out wide. Raum with the cross in. Powerful header, left-hand side again. Big left hand, and then he body on the line. How crucial could those saves be from Gonda the Great?
I thought you were going to say Gonda the Wonder. Corner kick for Germany. He needs to be alert. Still leading by a goal to nil. Right-hand side, over the head of Schlotterbeck, over the head of Rudiger, and out it goes for a throw to Germany on this near side. There is activity on the Japan bench down below. They still have 2 more opportunities to make further changes, does their coach Moriyasu, as it's with Raum. Back it goes to Schlotterbeck.
I said last night, I mean, I'm sick and tired of the amount of these substitutions. It's really hard work, isn't it, being a co-commentator?
The hard work comes when they then add on about 13 minutes as a result of 3 substitutions. Germany still lead by a goal to nil. We have 18 minutes remaining.
There we go. They're livening up the Japanese team now. Must be a foul from Goretzka. I think there was talk, wasn't there, before the game about Gundogan ended up with the goal past Gonda, but Goretzka, whether it be Goretzka or Gundogan.
Doan came on to replace Tanaka in the midfield, so yet it's another player who plays in Germany. 24-year-old, normally plays on the right for Freiburg, who've actually done well. They were second in the Bundesliga before the World Cup break, so they've made a number of changes now to try and get this equaliser in the second half. Here is Endo, forward, opportunity for Japan. What a save from Neuer, and then it comes out, and I think it might have been, was it Tomiyasu who's put it over the top from close range? What a save from Neuer. The concentration levels must be so great. He's had nothing to do throughout the game. It's a one-handed save, but the loose ball should have been buried.
Oh, it's a brilliant save.
It was Sakai.
Yeah, Sakai, but it's the initial save. It actually takes a deflection off Rudiger's left foot, and then Sakai, I think Asano's in his way, maybe, but Sakai should have buried that, balloons the ball over the bar. That was the chance that Japan needed, and they didn't take it. Can they carve out another opportunity?
You just wonder if there's going to be a dramatic finish here to the Khalifa International Stadium when you think of the heroics, the double save from Suichi Gonda at one end, and then Japan still being in the contest. So this is going to be their final change that they can make for Japan, and it is Minamino, the former Liverpool player, who has come on, and it is Sakai who has gone off. He had been playing as a right wing back. He had that golden chance to get the equaliser, and he will be ruining that missed opportunity. He's been consoled as he makes his way to the bench. What if Hiroki Sakai had scored from close range there? So Ito, who temporarily moved to the left, is back to the right, tried to play in Doan, blocked. All of a sudden now Japan are starting to have a few options as an attacking team. Matoma left-hand side, runs forward, edge of the area. Minamino is there. Good save. Loose ball. Tucked in. Japan have got the equaliser. It's the substitute Doan. And there is the twist in the tail. With 15 minutes remaining, it's the substitutes who've combined. And Ritsu Doan, who plays in football in Germany, has equalised against Germany. 1-1.
And what have we learned in the last few minutes? Japan can play. Brave on the ball, becoming desperate the longer the game has gone on, taking risks. Played the way beautifully up the pitch, worked it down the left-hand side brilliantly. And Neuer makes a decent save initially with his left hand, but with the save he pushes it out into an area, and Doan is so alert. And he can't really miss, but he's proactive. Falls for him 6-7 yards out, just lifts the ball into the roof of the net. Japan level, Japan back in it. Japan can play.
Well, certainly Moriyasu, the coach, has been vindicated with the changes that he's made. All three of the substitutes involved. Matoma of Brighton, Minamino's shot was then pushed out by Neuer, and then Ritsu Doan with the equalising goal. And here in the Khalifa International Stadium in the opening game in Group E, Germany have been pegged back by Japan. We saw how they gave Belgium a scare at the last World Cup. On that occasion, it was Japan who squandered a 2-goal lead and Belgium fought back. On this occasion, it's Japan who've shown the resilience and the character to get themselves back on level terms.
And you go back to those saves, those 4 saves from Gonda in quick succession. But isn't it amazing now, the urgency with which Japan are playing, the intensity which they're playing? But can the Germans respond and get themselves back in front?
Gnabry to Kimmich. Dispossessed by Matoma, who'll run forward over on that far side. And Matoma is over the halfway line for Japan. He's got some support going through the middle with Asano. The ball, though, he'll hang on to it on that left-hand side. Germany, who hit that post through Gundogan on the hour mark. That was a chance for the insurance goal. They were unable to take it. As now Doan lifts the ball forward towards Minamino on that far side. Matoma. They're waiting to make a double change. Our Germany Götze is going to be coming on. All of a sudden it's Minamino into the penalty area once again and out for a goal kick.
Tell you what, they're rattled, aren't they, the Germans? They really are. Japan got that confidence, popping the ball about, and they look the more likely team.
Well, this is a little bit of a fairy tale for Mario Götze. Scored the winning goal at the World Cup in 2010, making his return after 5 years. So Mario Götze back involved on the World Cup stage. He probably didn't think that was likely to happen. And Nicholas Füllkrug, who's a little bit of a throwback, isn't he, in terms of a burly centre forward of Werder Bremen, comes on. So Füllkrug replaces Havertz, and Götze has come on for Musiala, who was unable, for all the promise that he's shown, to get a goal. Gnabry's now playing on the left-hand side, and here is Gnabry, and we've got just over 10 minutes remaining, and Germany now have got a corner kick.
Yeah, if you were to pick a winner now, Ian, who would you pick? Come on.
I would say it's going to finish 1-1.
Oh, wow. That's a massive fence it there, doesn't it? Who has the momentum? Japan have the momentum, but Germany have a corner.
It's Kimmich to take it. Kimmich with a corner kick on the left-hand side over the head. Should just say, of course, it was Götze who scored the winning goal in the 2014 World Cup final. He was 18 years of age when he was selected for the World Cup in 2010. But it still caps a remarkable return for him, doesn't it? Now he's playing with Eintracht Frankfurt.
Absolutely does, and can he find the finishing touch for the Germans this evening? Good group this, isn't it? Really is. This was the one I was fascinated with and slightly worried. I actually predicted a Japan win against Germany. Didn't show any real quality in the first half, but showing the quality now.
What a ball that is, forward through towards Ito. It was played out from the back by Itakura, and Neuer had to be alert. 9 minutes remain of normal time. Bearing in mind we had 4 minutes of stoppage time in the first half when there was no substitutions, and we've had we've had at least 7 in the second half, not including the Tomiyasu one at half time. We could have about 10 minutes of added on time. It's anybody's guess. 1-1.
It was a really good piece of combination play down that right-hand side. The enormous Süle and Hoffmann, clever little 1-2. Hoffmann went shape to hit a cross in. It's gone behind for a corner to Germany. Fancy them from set plays, Ian, the Germans.
Füllkrug is there, Schlotterbeck up from the back, Rudiger also. Füllkrug makes a run towards the near side of the 6-yard post. Germany in their white shirts, or predominantly white shirts and black shorts. Corner kick far side the right, in it goes, headed out by Ito, headed further away by Asano on the edge of the area. Süle heads it out wide to this near side for Raum, who plays it down the line. Götze lets it come across his body, and it'll go out for a Germany throw that Raum, level with the area, wants to take. 1-1 on BBC Radio 5 Live, and also available on BBC Sounds. As there was a challenge from Schlotterbeck, and that was on Endo, and it goes out of play for a throw to Japan.
Yeah, and just another lull within the stadium now. Maybe a lull before the final surge from both teams.
But the lull doesn't do justice to the finish that we have got.
No.
1-1 and chances at both ends. The atmosphere doesn't do the finish justice. Oh. Lovely touch by Asano, into the penalty area. Asano! What a finish! Oh my word! What a sting in the tail! But what a touch! High ball downfield. Asano killed it dead right-footed, and then rifled the ball past Neuer. And Germany now are facing back-to-back defeats in a World Cup for the first time since 78 and 82. They were humiliated in Russia, and now they face embarrassment by losing another game in the opening match here in Doha. But what a touch, what a finish, what a story!
Yeah, what dreadful defending from the Germans. I'm not so sure it was a free kick. Anyway, it's just one ball, which does for the Germans. Asano gets the wrong side of Schlotterbeck, drives into the box, and then lifts the ball into the roof of the angle against him. Neuer nowhere. What a comeback. They parked the bus in the first half, the handbrake off in the second half, and Japan in front.
He looks onside. They are looking, I think, for an offside, but I think he was played on. But it was the high ball.
What a touch. What a first touch. Unbelievable first touch. Takes him on the inside of Schlotterbeck. Has a little look. He's still got a lot to do. Neuer makes himself big, but Asano into the roof of the net. Stunning finish.
Well. They finished behind Saudi Arabia in their qualifying group, but the Asian sides are producing the shocks. Saudi Arabia yesterday, Japan today, both coming from behind. It wasn't a key feature at all. It didn't happen in the last Euros last year. Teams didn't come from behind to win games in the group stages. Germany now looking for a riposte. And it comes in, free kick, touch out, goes for a corner.
Great ball in from Ram. Whizzed in. Bit of urgency now from the Germans. Kimmich going over to take the corner. I don't know whether it did come off a Japanese head. The Japanese claiming it as a goal kick.
This is the third team that has come from behind. The previous two have won as a cross comes in on that far side with the corner kick. Challenge on the edge of the area. Goetze was there, hammered away by Yoshida.
It's anywhere will do now.
We saw it yesterday. Saudi Arabia come from behind to beat Argentina. France came from behind to beat Australia.
But when you saw the Japanese display in the first half, I mean, it's incredible. We don't want to
night and day.
Game of two halves, but I've seen enough. I mean, up at Celtic, Hatate, Kyogo, good technical players, and you're thinking, you know, if they can't get in this squad, they must have some players we know, the likes of Kamada, are super talented, but they've just shown a bit of belief, got on the ball, played, and cut through the Germans easily in this second half.
They lulled Germany into a false sense of security. Although, to be fair to Germany, Gundogan had the chance. You think back to that excellent double save from Gonda, but then we did say we wondered if there might be a change even then, when they were just starting to get going. But the changes have been perfect from Moriyasu.
And maybe it was the perfect plan from Moriyasu. This is how he saw it working out. Change of formation at half-time. They have been better. They've grown in belief. And what have you got, Germany?
Germany unable to break off from the shackles of that embarrassment in Russia 4 years ago. And in a difficult group, they would then be under real pressure with games to come against Spain on Sunday and then Costa Rica next Thursday, the 1st of December. Germany, who are always there or thereabouts when it comes to the last knockings of a World Cup. For every decade, Germany have been in the top three at a World Cup. The 30s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000 and 2010. But the start of 2020, they were leading by 1-0, and now they are trailing by 2-1.
You're just seeing the Asano goal again. It was Süle on the far side, the German right back who was playing him on. Clever run, but one long ball. The German line not good enough. What a moment.
He's made such a difference. Goes down under the challenge of a penalty there. It was Asano who laid it off into the path of Doan, who got the equaliser, and Doan went down. There are boos and whistles inside the Khalifa Stadium. They think that should have been a penalty.
I think my first impression was simulation from Doan.
It'll be being checked. Moriyasu in his dark suit is walking down the touchline.
Here we go.
Plays back underway. It has been checked and it must have been dismissed. 2-1 to Japan.
He's better than that, Doan is. Don't do it, Doan.
Germany looking for an equaliser in the closing stages. Kimmich to Rüdiger. Every outfield player in the Japan half, as Germany play from right to left. Japan defending deep. Hoffmann touched it to Süle, the right back. Inside now towards Kimmich. Süle won't get too further forward, I wouldn't have thought, with the...
But they actually don't look like they're good enough at this moment in time to play through the Japanese. They look shell-shocked, don't they?
Well, the one player who did was Musiala, who's come off the field of play.
As Hansi Flick messed up with his substitutions.
Youssef Moukoko is coming on now, the Borussia Dortmund player, and he has replaced Gnabry. So the
Füllkrug with an opportunity from the cross with a header. That's a difficult header. He's 13-14 yards out. and heads the ball level with the penalty spot, heads the ball past Gonda's left-hand post.
I know you dismissed the Oman warm-up game last week, but Moukoko certainly wouldn't dismiss it, because he actually became the youngest player to make his Germany debut since Uwe Seeler back in 1954 when he appeared against Oman last week. And the amount of stoppage time isn't as great as I was expecting. 7 minutes, which we're now into. 7 minutes of stoppage time of Germany 1, Japan 2, live on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And the nature of BBC Sounds, you can rewind it. So if you've missed that Japan goal, then if you want to listen to Chris Sutton laughing again at the German demise, then do so once again. Disrespectful, I know, but listen back to it through BBC Sounds.
You're better than that, Ian.
Here is Kimmich.
My wife's part German. Come on, you're better than that.
Germany will hope that they're better than that as they try and get themselves back on level terms.
You said that they had an advantage because of that game, that friendly game against Oman, who are ranked 75th in the world.
Hoffman out towards Sula. Hoffman can't get past Matoma, far side, the right. Germany get a throw level with the penalty area. The first minute of 7 has elapsed.
I think there's a...
Tomiyasu is down.
And this won't be cramp.
He has had a calf issue. But I think by my calculations, they have used all of their substitutions, because obviously Tomiyasu came on at the start of the second half. They then had the two Asano and Matoma.
Well, it's a good shout, actually, Ian, but he's just got to hang on in there. And if it is a calf injury, then I'm not a medical expert, but you know, he's unlikely. If it's a tear or whatever, he's unlikely to play again in this tournament. So better off seeing this through, winning the game, and worrying about that after.
Plenty of support for Japan. That was a loose ball at the back from Sula, seized upon by Asano, who waits for the supporting run of Doan on this near right-hand side, level with the German penalty area, plays it on the inside. Endo tried to thread it through to Minamino. Germany get it out of their defence. Hoffman. But whilst Japan's substitutions have worked to a positive effect, Germany just seem to have lost a lot of their rhythm since their substitutions have been made. They now go long, up towards Füllkrug, heads it on. Moukoko picks it up on this near left-hand side, delivers a low ball in. It might fall here to Goretzka.
They want a penalty, the Germans.
Matoma took it off the toes of Goretzka, who was trying to shape to shoot.
Füllkrug asking for a penalty. Wonder whether they're checking this.
Yoshida is having a word with the Salvadorian referee.
Let's have a look. Wow, I don't think they can give that. It's Yoshida. Füllkrug, shoulder to shoulder. I'd be really surprised if this is given.
Play back underway. Didn't really have too much of a look at that. 3.5 minutes of the 7 to go. Japan still lead by 2-1. Raum, such a threat in the second half.
Ito doing his job there, stopped the cross. The Germans got some big guys in there.
Throw that Raum will go back to Schlotterbeck. Neuer is up in the centre circle, incidentally. Rudiger is going to shoot from distance, and he's pulled it well wide.
It's a goal kick. Ridiculous from Rudiger. Tries to ping that in from 30 yards. Now, Gonda, what a game he's had. He did give away the penalty, but those saves, succession of 4 saves. It'll be Gonda the Great back in Japan.
We have under 3 minutes remaining. Gonda, the player who Chris Sutton's just been talking about, downfield. Out it goes for a Germany throw. Spain, Costa Rica, Belgium, Canada to come. But this will be the story on day 4 of the World Cup, you would think. Germany go long, Füllkrug attacks it. First time hit, just wide. Running onto it was Goretzka, right-footed. Struck it on the half volley, but it must have been half a yard wide of the left-hand post.
Yeah, it's a straight ball into Füllkrug. This is his game. This is what he's good at. He just peels away from the centre half. Little knockdown. Goretzka onto it. He's unlucky on the half volley. Laces the ball. Is not far away. Gonda taking his time. It's nearly it. Long ball up the pitch.
78, they lost to Austria in Argentina. They opened up the World Cup in 82 where they lost to Algeria. That was the last time that Germany lost back-to-back matches in the World Cup.
Oh, Neuer's out of his goal again.
Neuer out of his penalty area this time to try and prevent Asano from getting there. He feeds it forward to Schlotterbeck, launches the ball long. Hoffmann jumps in the air, right corner of the penalty area, and it runs out of play. It's a Japan throw.
Yeah, and Rudiger has gone up as a centre forward. The Germans have gone Wimbledon style, just launching it into the box. What a victory this would be for Japan if they can hold on.
What a victory it is for the continent of Asia as well. For Saudi Arabia yesterday to trump Argentina from coming from behind.
I don't think that's a foul. Rudiger goes down easily. Neuer's gone forward. What happens next?
We know what happens next. History could be repeating itself. It's a free kick to Germany. We have 30 seconds remaining of stoppage time. Neuer is up from the back. Japan have every blue shirt back inside the penalty area. Japan have come from behind. They lead by 2-1. Now or never, you would think, for Die Mannschaft. They have the free kick on the right-hand side. Minamino just one in the wall. Neuer currently unmarked, adjusting his socks, his yellow socks, all in yellow. Stands out quite brightly as we look towards the penalty area. By my watch, the 7 minutes are over. This might be it for Germany to try and salvage something. In it comes now from the free kick. Neuer throws himself at it, comes out towards Süle.
He's going to stay up. He was inches away from heading that in, Neuer.
Last touch of a Japanese defender. Süle wins a corner. Neuer couldn't get on the end of it. There's a player down, might be 2 players down inside the 6-yard box.
Oh, he's not far away, is he? Was it Yoshida who just gets a touch? Neuer would have been in. The Japanese bench celebrate. They've still got work to do.
Of the minimum of 7, we're now 8 minutes in of injury time. Germany looking for a dramatic equaliser. Kimmich with a corner, in-swinger, punched out by Gonda. Hoffmann almost on the halfway line, plays it out towards the right-hand side. Neuer is now going back towards the penalty area. Germany get a throw, but the Salvadorian referee blows his whistle. Japan celebrates. And Germany, if you think back to 2018, that was their first opening game defeat since 1982, and they have now suffered back-to-back losses at the start of 2 successive World Cups. They were leading, they hit the post, they couldn't get the second goal. Gonda was great in the Japan defence, and then came the substitutes with 2 goals in the space of 8 minutes to give Japan a famous win, 2-1.
What a strange World Cup. What a strange game, a game of 2 halves. Japan not in it in the first half. Germany get in front, you think second half they're controlling it, should have been game over. You're right about the Gonda saves. And then all of a sudden, Japan get the confidence, they show they can play. Doan, good substitution, pops up with a goal, and then Asano, brilliant goal, brilliant finish, lifts the ball into the roof of the net pass. Neuer, and then the Germans got desperate. I thought Hansi Flick's substitutions were pretty woeful, really. They went direct at the end, but Japan held out. And this group, I said before the game, really interesting group. Spain, Germany, Costa Rica and Japan. And Japan have made their mark now, and the Germans have work to do.
Flick's first major tournament ends in failure. Japan, they're all smiles down below. What a scoreline, what a story. It's finished Germany 1, Japan 2.
And what a World Cup this is turning out to be. A real upset today with Japan getting their first ever win against Germany. The Japan players still on the pitch, still celebrating, still absolutely delighted with that result and that performance. As you said, they're in a group with Spain and Costa Rica. That game is coming up at 4 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, it's Belgium against Canada. And who would bet against there being upsets in either of those two games? This one, though, is all about Japan, all about that performance. Ian Dennis, just imagine how much worse this could have been for Germany if they hadn't had that friendly against Oman.
Oh, don't you start, Lady Kelly.
Listen, Chris,
I thought you were better than that.
We will get on to Germany and what that means for them very shortly. But Chris, I mean, you've thoroughly enjoyed watching the turnaround in that game. The way that Japan played, the substitution, Minamino coming on, just seemed to spark them into life. Within a minute, they were level, and then a few minutes later, they were in front.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this was the plan from Japan, but first off, they were so poor. You know, I was scratching my head because they've got so many good technical players. The substitutions made a huge difference. Doan and Asano and Minamino, and it worked in their favour. It really did. They got back in it, and then there was a feeling inside the stadium, both teams going toe to toe. But there was this belief then from Japan, and really quick thinking with the free kick. And Asano is a brilliant first touch which took him away from Schlotterbeck, but then he had a little look, and his finish was clinical. And this group now is wide open, and you know, Hansi Flick and his German team under real pressure. They had so much control. You couldn't see them losing this game after 60 minutes. But lost it they did, and they've got real work on their hands now to get out of this group. Japan in a wonderful position. What a strange World Cup we have had so far.
And those Japan players, Deno, in a huddle now at the edge of the pitch.
Yeah, they are. Everybody's involved. The substitutes, the players who are out on the pitch, the backroom staff in their tracksuits, the management in their dark suits. I mean, terrific victory for them, because you couldn't have foreseen this scoreline at half-time. They had no ambition, they had no adventure, but to credit the coach, Moriyasu, every one of his substitutions paid off, and they grew in confidence, took the goals ever so well. The winning goal from Asano, the first touch is a delight, and then he runs away and then rifles the ball inside the near post by Neuer. But even before that, you've got to give out a shout out to Suichi Gonda, the goalkeeper, because he's been the number one keeper under Moriyasu, and I thought it was terrific because he made a double save when Germany was still leading 1-0. That was the turning point. We said it in commentary. You just wonder if something was going to happen, and it proved to be. And an incredible comeback, and like you say, another upset at a World Cup that certainly doesn't have any shortage of stories.
Pat Nevin is here in the studio in Doha with me as well. Pat, we were saying last night when Australia were playing, if you were Scottish and Scotland not being at this World Cup, there is a huge connection between Australia and Scottish football, so that might be a way in to supporting a team in this World Cup. Japan have all those Celtic players in there as well.
Well, not enough of them.
Well,
I thought initially.
Maybe not one of the best ones.
Yeah, I mean, oddly, it slightly put me off. I love Japanese football, and I love the energy that they bring to the games. However, the fact that they didn't, bring Furuhashi Kyogo, stunned most people in Scotland, and certainly me as well. I was a wee bit miffed about it. But then if you can go and do that, what they've just done, then I'll forgive them for it. Maeda was up front anyway. He's a Celtic player, and what he did, the running he put in the first half. Now it was almost pointless running, apart from almost nearly scoring. It was offside though. But the fact that they all work that hard, they are all technically good. And I heard the lads talking about it. Have a look at their bench. These are no mugs, and they use the bench. Again, I'm saying exactly what Chris and Deno's just said. How well they used that bench was astonishing. And it's going to be one of the most important things in this World Cup. As we go on, use the bench well, because you've got tired players, because it's the middle of the season.
And that's how you get an upset with Japan, with that victory over Germany for the first time ever. Everybody loves an upset. Not everybody loves it as much as these Japanese commentators.
後ろ背中のボールをキープするペナルティーエリア入ってきたシュート決まった2対1日本勝ち越し後半38分
Mo got in touch on social media to say second half masterclass from the Japan manager. Rupesh, what an amazing display of grit and passionate football. And Sheila got in touch to say she's in an airport waiting for a flight to Japan, cheering along with all the other Japan fans. What a turnaround that was. What an atmosphere there must have been, surrounded by fans who wanted them to get that result against Germany. And they did it, Chris, as Pat was saying there. It's built on a solid foundation. These are players who, for years, have been talked about as good technical players, but maybe haven't delivered on their ability. There's something else in this squad.
Yeah, absolutely. It just surprised me they took so long to get going. And, and when they got that, they had to play with a bit of desperation because they came from behind. And, look, they're not the biggest team. So, they had to be brave on the ball and courageous, and they showed they can play. They've got some excellent players. The substitutions made a difference, but the longer the game went, you felt something was going to happen. And look, on the second half performance, they thoroughly deserved it. I suppose the head scratcher is why didn't they show that confidence in the first half at times? But no, absolutely brilliant. I loved the second goal, the way he took it, the confidence, the touch, and actually saw it through pretty comfortable. The Germans actually, Hansi Flick, you talk about one coach getting the substitutions right. Hansi Flick's substitutions, he brought on a couple of big burly centre forwards. Rudiger went up front and they went direct, where they had real control in the game for an hour and cut through Japan. At times it was very basic towards the end, and it wasn't such a shock for me to see Japan winning. I predicted it, Kelly, in my predictions. What was the shock for me was Japan taking so long to get going and show that they could play. I think Archie Rintut said that the Germans have been susceptible and will be susceptible due to the way they play under Hansi Flick to counter-attacks, and that's what happened to them.
One of my favourite moments from the World Cup in 2018 was when Manuel Neuer decided that he was going to make a mazy run up the wing, to your utter disgust, Chris Sutton, because you were commentating on that match. I thought you were going to get a big Manuel Neuer moment at the end of this one as well.
He nearly scored off the free kick from Kimmich, didn't he? I think Yoshida just got a touch, but just imagine, he was right behind him, and then he stayed up for the corner, and you thought maybe Japan. It would have been lovely. I've got nothing against Neuer, but it would have been lovely had Japan just waltzed up the other end when he was out of his goal and popped it in. It didn't, it didn't matter in the end. But he's very watchable.
So you predicted it. Archie Rintut said that Germany would be susceptible to the counter-attack, and Archie is with us now. Archie, it's exactly as you predicted.
I didn't see that coming at half-time, though, Kelly. I have to be honest. Given how encouraging that first half display was from Germany, how in control they were, and then maybe they were lulled into a full sense of security because, in that second half, when Thomas Müller went off, Germany lost something. And to be honest, the biggest surprise when this lineup was named was Nico Schlotterbeck's inclusion. In 6 Germany caps, he's conceded 3 penalties. So I think that was definitely running through his mind when Takuma Asano of VfL Bochum, who is second from bottom in the Bundesliga and lost 7-0 to Bayern Munich just 3 months ago and hasn't played in nearly 3 months, goes and scores. I think what is going through Schlotterbeck's head is, I can't foul him, I can't give away another free kick. And Schlotterbeck has also been in really poor form for Borussia Dortmund. His inclusion in that starting lineup was a big gamble, and ultimately it hasn't paid off for Hansi Flick, who is going to come under a lot of pressure. This team will be hammered. This is not what Germans expect from their national team. Even if less of them are going to be watching this World Cup, as we were discussing before this game, this is going to come under a lot of scrutiny, particularly how desperate they looked at the end. You talked about Manuel Neuer, that he nearly scored, actually, from a corner a few weeks ago even, a month or two ago even. But when he's up at the end of your first group game of the World Cup, something has gone badly wrong.
Archie, Pat Nevin was talking about how well Japan were able to use their bench in that game. And you've mentioned the criticism there that is incoming for Hansi Flick, the German head coach, particularly the way they were scrabbling at the end and how he used his substitutes.
Yeah, so I think taking off Jamal Musiala, given the form he's in, given how I thought he started the game a bit shakily, but then after that, I thought he was Germany's most dangerous player. Perhaps he was blowing, but from where I was looking, I still think that that's a questionable decision. I understand why he put on Niklas Füllkrug, and to be honest, taking off Thomas Müller as well, he hasn't played a full game since the end of September. So I can see the thinking. It's just, did he choose the right pieces at the right time? And defensively, look, Thilo Kehrer has played the most minutes under Hansi Flick so far during his time. He was expected to start at right back. Instead, he plays Niklas Süle there, also not in great form, and also, I think, had a shaky second half. David Raum has been praised for his attacking qualities, but again, question marks have been in Germany over what he does defensively. So, look, I thought Antonio Rudiger on the whole was pretty solid, but that German defence, and also the biggest talking point in Germany about how they set up is, as we were mentioning, about the counter-attacking susceptibilities, namely, though, the structure. They call it Restverteidigung, literally meaning rest defence. Well,
we'll be using that one at various stages throughout this tournament. Yeah. Restverteidigung. What?
Restverteidigung.
Restverteidigung.
I like that. Spot on. And it's about how you structure yourself when you have the ball, but say if you lose it, how you're then spread out when you're having to face a counter. And I think you saw on a couple of occasions...
So your defensive shape, basically. Yeah, I want to get to the bottom of this, Archie. I'm sorry to persist.
Yeah, but it's more defensive shape, particularly when you're on the counter. They're quite specific about that. Mm-hmm. And you look at the positioning sometimes of Ilkay Gundogan and Joshua Kimmich and how attacking they were. I think that is something that still hasn't really been addressed and will still be being raised to Hansi Flick after this game, because he went into it backing his attacking players. Sure, there was that fantastic quadruple save from Gonda at 1-0, where we wouldn't necessarily be talking about that. But the thing is, it didn't. And right now, Germany are now ahead of facing Spain in their second group game, are looking down the barrel.
Yeah, we'll get a much better idea of what kind of shape Spain are in when they kick off against Costa Rica at 4 o'clock, and we'll be building up to that one over the next 45 minutes or so. In terms of Germany and the rest of this competition, as you said, first game to look forward to for them is Spain. But are there concerns now for Germany in terms of progressing throughout the World Cup?
Oh, there will be, 100%. I only need to look at the sullen look which Thomas Müller is wearing right now in his post-match interview on TV. This is a very serious situation for Germany, and given their history in the competition, this would be huge. And not forgetting either, the next European Championships are in Germany in less than 2 years' time, and it is important for them to be able to show a completely different side to them and to be a lot better. And I think that the worrying thing for Germany is that this performance had shades of that game against Mexico, their opening group game against in the last World Cup, in that they were vulnerable defensively, and you questioned how much of a team this looked. You wonder if there is still that right balance in this team. It's very problematic, and whilst Hansi Flick is seen as being more aggressive than Joachim Löw in terms of the way that he got his side to press and more coherent, you wonder, was it enough of a departure from the Joachim Löw way of football to have Hansi Flick being installed here? He was very much a German FA guy all along. And right now, it's difficult to see how Germany are able to solve these problems so quickly, because there are so many of them right now.
Archie, lovely to talk to you as always. Thanks for sparing the time to come and talk about that shock result. Germany beaten 2-1 by Japan. However, it was predicted by Chris Sutton. Chris, we're watching the local coverage here in Doha. Torreira and Suhail are two cartoon pandas that they've got predicting the results. They went for Japan too. Is that where you got it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're obviously smart like me. So, yeah. I mean, I've been brilliant at my Premier League predictions. I don't like to big myself up, Kelly, but sort of every week I play against a sort of celebrity guest, and I think I'm 8 up. They might as well hand me the trophy now. But I just had a feeling for Japan, and things aren't right with Germany. But maybe I'll have a meal with the pandas this evening.
You enjoy your bamboo this evening, Chris Sutton. Good to talk to you. Thank you very much to Ian Dennis as well. Have a good tournament, Deno. Thank you very much to our commentary team there for that shock defeat. Japan 2-1 winners against Germany. Yet another surprise in this World Cup. And we're only on, day 4 of the tournament. We've got more games to look ahead to. Spain take on Costa Rica. That one is a 4 o'clock kickoff. We'll be building up to that with Pat Nevin and the rest of the crew right up until 4. And then it's Belgium against Canada. Spain and Belgium, two of the most fancied sides going into this World Cup. But when we've seen the upsets that we have over the opening days, who can predict what will happen? We'll look ahead to them after the BBC News with Richard Foster.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Supreme Court has ruled that the Scottish Government can't hold an independence referendum without getting permission from Westminster. Judges were asked to rule on whether Nicola Sturgeon's government would have the power to hold a vote next year. The SNP's Westminster leader Ian Blackford told MPs that democracy is at stake.
Last year, the people of Scotland voted for a Scottish Parliament with a majority and the mandate to deliver an independence referendum. The Prime Minister has every right to oppose independence. He has no right to deny democracy to the people of Scotland.
Rishi Sunak says he welcomes the court ruling and says that it's now time to work together. The Prime Minister's also appointed a top lawyer, Adam Tolley, to lead an investigation into allegations of bullying against the Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab. He's denied any wrongdoing. Adam Tolley specialises in commercial and employment law. The city of Lviv in Ukraine is completely without power after Russian missile strikes across the country. Moldova, which borders Ukraine, has also reported massive blackouts, but it hasn't been hit directly. Moscow has recently increased its attacks on Ukrainian energy networks. There's no risk to a woman or her baby if she becomes pregnant within a few months of a miscarriage or abortion. That's the finding of a major new study in Norway. Ruth Bender-Attic is from the Miscarriage Association.
Most people will know when it's right for them to start trying again. For some people, they desperately want to fill that gap, but other people will want to wait a longer period of time. So what this is doing is it's giving women and their partners the confidence to start to try again when they feel it's right for them.
And Royal Mail says it's made a best and final offer to staff aimed at preventing strike action by union members in the run-up to Christmas. The deal includes a pay rise of up to 9% over 18 months and a new profit share scheme for workers.
The World Cup on BBC Sounds.
With coverage of every single game on 5 Live.
Oh, what an amazing goal! Kylian Mbappe!
Expert analysis and debate with some of the biggest names in football on the World Cup Daily Podcast.
What Gareth Southgate wants is that they can perform under the most intense pressure they will ever experience.
And a bit of fun in Match of the Day Top 10 with Gary Lineker.
Micah Richards is back along with Alan Shearer and myself for the biggest international football tournament on the planet.
Take the World Cup with you. Listen on BBC Sounds.